Every time a wolf beastman mates, a beast mark is branded 3 fingers below his belly. The more beast marks he has, the more females have claimed him. But these 5 stunningly gorgeous beastmen, their 28-pack abs were completely bare. Turns out, their mistress was a scar-faced ugly woman. Relying on her noble status, she'd forced them into marriage. That night, she even drugged them to claim her rights. But they fought back too hard, and she accidentally slammed into a wall and died. At the same time, Mu Yao was struck dead by 99 heavenly lightning bolts in the apocalypse. She unexpectedly transmigrated into this wicked woman's body. After absorbing the original owner's memories, Mu Yao felt a throbbing headache. But the moment she opened her eyes, she saw a stunningly handsome man with broad shoulders and a narrow waist kneeling on the ground. Jihan is unwell and cannot serve my mistress. I beg my mistress to punish me. Looking at the breathtakingly beautiful man before her, Mu Yao couldn't help but frown. Seeing the whip marks on his body, fragments of memory flashed through her mind. Turns out, he'd been exiled to a freezing northern tribe. On the road to exile, 5 beast husbands had protected him and suffered severe injuries. Yet the original owner had beaten and berated them. But Mu Yao now felt a change in her body. The original owner had been poisoned, which was why she'd become so irritable and depressed. Get up first. She came from the apocalypse and wasn't used to people kneeling before her. And she had no joy in tormenting others. Hearing this, Xiao Jihan couldn't help but shiver. Mistress, if you're unhappy with Jihan, you can divorce me. I won't hold any grudges. The moment those words left his mouth, a dangerously alluring man walked in. Mistress, if you're going to divorce someone, why not divorce me instead? Walling set down paper and a brush on the table, his gaze cold and laced with disgust. Snapping back to reality, Mu Yao wished she could end this arrangement right now. But she realized her wood element powers had somehow weakened. And this was the Beiluo tribe, a harsh, freezing land. Enemies from the Beast Emperor's city could show up at any time. Right now, she still needed her beast husband's protection. So there was no rush. For the next 3 months. If you keep me safe from harm, I'll let you go. When the time comes, I'll give you your divorce papers. Hearing Mu Yao's words, Walling and Xiao Jihan were both stunned. They couldn't believe their mistress would be so generous. After all, she just drugged Xiao Jihan moments ago. Just then, shouts from outside cut through their confusion. Hey, Missy, come quick. Your beast husband got attacked by a demon beast. He's badly hurt. He's barely hanging on. Mu Yao didn't have time to process everything in her head. She got straight out of bed and hurried out of the stone hut. A few people were carrying an unconscious green snake into the yard. The female beast, Ling King, stared at Wen Nangxi's condition. She sighed and said, Sis, your beast husband is badly hurt. He can't even hold his human form. Even though in the exile tribe, beastmen getting hurt or dying is normal, it's still a shame for such a good-looking beast husband to die like this. What a waste. Seeing the green snake lying on the ground, Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi felt helpless. Maybe they'd die here too without anyone knowing. Mu Yao could sense that the snake beast's life force was extremely faint. She quickly stepped forward and placed her hand on Wen Nangxi's head. Seeing this, Hua Lingyi's face changed drastically. What are you doing? He's dying. Are you still not going to let him go? At that moment, because he was so anxious, Hua Lingyi couldn't keep up his usual facade. He didn't even call her mistress anymore. Mu Yao didn't have time to deal with them. She was using her weak wood power to heal Wen Nangxi's injuries. Watching the wounds heal, Ling King's eyes nearly popped out of her head. Sis, you have a healing power. Mu Yao's power entered his mental sea. She saw a massive green snake in a bamboo forest. Its beautiful green bamboo scales were now dull, and it was bleeding non-stop. Wen Nangxi spoke gently. Mistress, even at a time like this. His voice was still so soft. Unlike Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi, who were tense and on edge, he truly radiated a warm, gentle aura from deep within. Mu Yao walked over and reached out to touch him. His body trembled slightly, but he didn't refuse or try to stop her. Mu Yao's heart softened, and she placed her hand on him. Don't worry, your injuries will heal. You'll be fine. A green glow surrounded his entire body. His aching body suddenly felt like it was bathed in warm sunlight. Wen Nangxi's face lit up with surprise. Then he said softly, Thank you, mistress, for healing me. No need to thank me. It's my duty. In the beast world, When a female takes a beast husband, the husband must care for his mistress, and the mistress must heal her husband and soothe his spirit. Of course, her past self had never done any of this, mostly because her husbands never wanted her to strain herself. After some time, when Nangxi's injuries were mostly healed, Mu Yao finally stopped. But she had used too much of her wood energy. And the moment she stopped, she passed out. Just as she was falling, when Nangxi caught her in his arms, then he gently carried her into the hut. Watching the unbelievable scene, the two of them gasped. He actually awakened an ability? A healing ability? Have you ever heard of a female beast awakening an ability? She's different than before. Either way, the fact that she used her ability to heal when Nangxi is a good change. Thinking about how there was no food left at home, the two decided to go hunting together tomorrow. Their beast husband still depended on Mu Yao to survive, so they couldn't let anything happen to her. Because if Mu Yao died in the exile tribe, they would be buried with her. When Mu Yao woke up again, it was the next morning. She got up to wash up and saw her reflection clearly in the water basin. Because someone had poisoned her. One side of her face had turned black and was disfigured. But she knew that once the poison was cured, her looks would be restored. Just as she stepped out of her room, she saw Wen Nangxi chopping wood in the yard. He wore a bamboo green beast hide, and the morning sunlight fell on him, giving him an otherworldly, refined air. Wen Nangxi seemed to hear her and turned to look at Mu Yao. "Mistress, you're awake. Did you sleep well last night?" After yesterday, when Nangxi seemed even gentler, Mu Yao still wasn't used to being around omegas. So she just nodded and gave a quiet worried that his mistress might be hungry. When Nangxi set down the firewood, walked to the kitchen, and brought to red fruits and to bird eggs to Mu Yao. "This is all the food we have right now. I'm sorry it's not much, mistress. Early this morning, Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi went hunting. They should bring back food." Then his eyes dimmed. Yesterday he was supposed to hunt and bring back food. But because he was injured, he hadn't caught any game. So today there was no food to be had. All they could do was count on Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi. Mu Yao knew the harsh reality of the Beiluo tribe. The forests around them were full of all kinds of dangers. Getting food wasn't easy. "It's fine, I'll cook today." With that, Mu Yao went into the kitchen and made tomato egg drop soup. When it was done, she poured 2 bowls and set them on the table, learning that the red fruit came from the ancient tomb forest. With tomatoes, she could make all kinds of food. She could even make ketchup and sell it in the city. Mu Yao's expression shifted. They couldn't just rely on hunting to survive. Hunting was too dangerous. But she also needed to gather enough herbs to cure this body of its poison. After Nangxi finished eating, "Come with me to the ancient tomb forest. I want to gather some food and herbs." When Nangxi's gentle, picture-perfect eyes shimmered, this was the first time she'd said she wanted to go into the forest. He had to protect his mistress. Mu Yao noticed when Nangxi wasn't touching the soup. Then she remembered what the original owner had done yesterday with the drugs. Her mouth twitched stiffly. "Don't worry about that. I don't have any intentions to ward you now. There's no drugs in the food." After hearing that, when Nangxi spoke up. But when Nangxi's hesitation wasn't about the drugs, he just wanted to make sure Mu Yao ate first. Only if there was extra food would he eat. Hearing her say that, he picked up his spoon and took a taste. One bite in, he immediately looked surprised. "This is absolutely delicious." In Wen Nangxi's clear, gentle eyes, there was a soft shimmer of light. He said softly, "It's really good." Seeing the look on his face, Mu Yao finally relaxed. "Then drink it all. I'll head into the woods later to find more food. And I'll make it for you again." Of the 5 beast husbands by his side now, only 3 regularly showed up in front of him. And he didn't have any real relationship with his beast husbands, given that he still needed protection. When Nangxi was the best choice, the beast dense environment had incredible weather. With so many ancient forests, it was great for Mu Yao's recovery and his wood lizard. After cleaning up the table and dishes, when Nangxi shifted into his true snake form, coiling low in front of Mu Yao. "Please get on, mistress." Mu Yao climbed right on. As they passed through the tribe, many beastmen stared in surprise. "No way, Mu Yao actually left the house? Doesn't he hate snake beastmen? He never lets his beast husband shift into his true form. I heard yesterday his snake beast husband was about to die, and he used his power to save him." The two of them ignored the chatter. Once outside the tribe, When Nangxi's snake body leaped up, almost like flying through the air, Mu Yao instinctively held onto Wen Nangxi. The moment he grabbed him, Wen Nangxi's snake body went stiff, and he nearly dropped from midair. They arrived at the spot where they picked red fruit. He quickly set Mu Yao down and shifted back to human form. He still looked gentle and refined, but his ears were slightly red. Seeing so many tomatoes, Mu Yao's eyes lit up. Too bad he didn't have a good container. After looking around, Mu Yao sat down and wove a basket out of vines. When Nangxi sat nearby, watching Mu Yao's nimble hands, his picturesque eyes grew deep and shimmering. If you're bored, you can look around. But if I run into danger, I might need to call you over to protect me. When Nangxi nodded, there wasn't much food at home, so he figured he'd look around, hunt some beasts for food. Once the basket was done, Mu Yao started picking tomatoes. While he was busy, a dangerous presence suddenly closed in. The moment Mu Yao turned around, a huge beast lunged at him. Without a second thought, Mu Yao shouted and leaped up, quickly scrambling up a nearby tree. When Nangxi rushed over at the cry for help, surprise flashing in his eyes. The clumsy Mu Yao had never climbed a tree before. When Nangxi's cold eyes flickered, and he swiftly engaged the massive beast. Though Wen Nangxi usually seemed gentle and refined, when it came to real fighting, he carried a chilling, frosty aura. His presence was overwhelmingly fierce. The blade in his hand spun at lightning speed. It was like a blade materializing out of thin air, shooting straight at the beast. But that beast's strength wasn't weak either. The beast reacted incredibly fast, dodging the deadly strike. But the blade spun around and landed right back in Wen Nangxi's hand. Wen Nangxi leaped down from the air, driving the ancient blade straight through the beast's neck. Blood splattered as he pulled the blade out, but he dodged it with effortless grace, not a single drop touching him. The next moment, the beast crashed to the ground, shaking the earth beneath them. Mu Yao watched the whole thing, his eyes going wide. He could tell, when Nangxi hadn't even used any real power, he took down that beast with total ease. Clearly, that gentle and refined look was just a front. He was actually incredibly strong. His past self didn't even have a single ability. How did he ever dare to mess with those beast husbands and treat them so cruelly? Wasn't he afraid they'd snap and kill him? Thinking back, his original self actually had 10 beast husbands. The 5 he'd already cut ties with. The way they used to look at him like they wanted him dead. Mu Yao suddenly felt like crying. Mistress Wen Nangxi noticed Mu Yao wasn't reacting, so he leaped up into the tree. Hearing the sound, Mu Yao snapped back to reality. Then, he saw Wen Nangxi's stunningly beautiful face right in front of him. Mu Yao instinctively wanted to avoid it, stepping back without thinking. But they were in a tree. As Mu Yao stepped back, he fell straight out of the tree. Wen Nangxi leaped down after him and caught Mu Yao midair. "Are you okay, 7th Master?" Mu Yao was in Wen Nangxi's arms. He caught the pleasant scent on him and couldn't help feeling a little dazed. But when Mu Yao thought about how Wen Nangxi had just killed those beasts, and how his predecessor had abused him, his body started to stiffen involuntarily. "I'm fine. You can let me go. Just put me down." As Mu Yao said this, he didn't dare touch Wen Nangxi. Everyone seemed to hate his touch. Better not to risk it. In the apocalypse, people killing each other was all too common. Mu Yao's survival instincts kicked in. When Nangxi looked down at Mu Yao in his arms, this was the first time he'd held him. The person in his arms showed no joy. His face was pale, his expression wary, his body completely tense. But unlike the obsessive, crazed look from before, his eyes were now clear and pure. He really was different from before. When Nangxi's expression darkened, he whispered hoarsely in his ear, "Mistress, are you afraid of me?" Mu Yao bit his lip. He said softly, "No. Why would I be?" But after saying that, he froze. He looked up. And when Nangxi's eyes met his directly, a dark, shimmering look in his gaze, like a dark whirlpool, it threatened to swallow him whole. Mu Yao suddenly realized that this snake beastman, Wen Nangxi, was someone he didn't understand at all. Could that have been his camouflage? But he wanted to get down. Wen Nangxi just held onto him and wouldn't let go. Mu Yao struggled but couldn't move at all. His powers were still too weak right now. He couldn't match Wen Nangxi's strength. "Remember how you used to like it when I held you like this?" Held in his arms, Mu Yao's eyelashes trembled. His predecessor had liked it. But he wasn't his predecessor. Mu Yao forced a smile. I'm just trying to turn over a new leaf, right? Mu Yao could sense Wen Nengxi's suspicion. He was about to say more. But just then, in his mind, a soft, cute voice suddenly spoke up. Host, I'm finally awake. So happy. The host is still alive. Mu Yao heard the space system's voice in his head. He communicated with it telepathically. I'm glad you're okay. So are the supplies I stocked in the space? Ever since she was born and became conscious, the space system had been with her. She survived the apocalypse easily. All thanks to the space system's help. The space system explained softly, host. During the apocalypse, you were able to level up. After you transcended and crossed into this world, I got hurt too. Right now, my space access is only half an acre. It'll only open up bit by bit as you level up. Mu Yao had stockpiled countless supplies during the apocalypse. He quickly asked, then what's the key to leveling up? The space system spoke up. It's when you get close with your beast husband. Different levels of access unlock. This time, your close hug with him is what woke me up. Mu Yao was amazed. He never would have guessed that this was how the space would unlock. And to unlock more of the space, he'd have to get close with his beast husband. The space system seemed to think of something. Host, if you actually get intimate with your beast husband, you know, the real deal. The space will level up faster. You'll unlock supplies quicker. Mu Yao's mouth twitched. If you want me to stay alive, stop talking about that. Looks like he'd have to find food on his own for now. When Nengxi looked down at Mu Yao's expression, seeing the look on his face, a sly glint flashed in his eyes. This was way more interesting. Mu Yao talked with the space system for a bit, then snapped back to reality. When Nengxi set him down, Mu Yao quickly put some distance between them. He walked over to the beast and asked, can we eat this beast's meat? No, you can't eat that. It's a mutant beast. Mutant beasts are poisonous. Mu Yao stopped paying attention to the dead beast and went back to picking tomatoes. Soon, his basket was full of tomatoes. He still wanted to find more food. Or maybe some herbs. Just then, the space system said excitedly, host, I can now detect everything within 100 meters. There are sweet potatoes in the grass 100 meters ahead, buried underground. Sweet potatoes, we can eat those. Mu Yao's eyes lit up. This is great. If I can plant these in my space, the yield would be insane. It could feed several beast wives easily. He headed to where the system pointed. Pushing aside the grass, he spotted the sweet potato leaves. When Nengxi didn't dare wander off, he stayed right behind Mu Yao, seeing the plants. When Nengxi frowned, trust me, these aren't just weeds. You can make tons of food with them. He paused, then turned with those big, innocent eyes, looking at Wen Nengxi, can you dig up the ground here for me? Wen Nengxi's expression shifted slightly. In the past, he always ordered people around. He never spoke to them kindly, let alone in such a soft tone. He channeled his power into the blade in his hand. As the blade came down, a huge crater opened in the ground. Mu Yao was startled. He quickly said, wait, not so hard. There's food down there. When Nengxi paused, saw how serious Mu Yao looked, and eased up on the force, digging more carefully. Mu Yao looked at the sweet potatoes, his eyes curving into bright crescents, pure joy shining in them. Watching Wen Nengxi dig them up, he cleaned off the dirt and put them in the basket. Mu Yao quietly said thanks. Wen Nengxi gave him a focused look and smiled. This is what I should be doing. Watching more and more sweet potatoes get dug up, Mu Yao opened his space and stored them all inside. Wen Nengxi watched the sweet potatoes vanish into thin air, completely stunned. To survive in the exile tribe, space powers were a total game changer. So Mu Yao didn't hide it. He wanted the other wives to think twice before trying to kill him. Revenge was something Mu Yao didn't know about. At that moment, when Nengxi's mind was blown, his mistress not only had healing powers, but space powers too. Before this, he'd never heard of anyone having dual powers. Clearly, his mistress really had changed. Mu Yao didn't have time to worry about what Wen Nengxi was thinking. Guided by the system, he was busy having a blast. Host, there's ginger and scallions 100 meters to your left. With those, he could make tons of food and get rid of the gamey smell. Looking at all the haul, at least Mu Yao wouldn't go hungry for the next few days. Seeing it was getting late, they decided to head back. On the way back, When Nangxi shifted into his snake form again, this time Mu Yao sat properly on top, not daring to move, and definitely not daring to hold on. But when Nangxi deliberately sped up, scaring Mu Yao so much he almost fell off. "Mistress, you can hold on tight to me." As he said this, he gently caught Mu Yao with his tail. Mu Yao was about to refuse, when the system shouted, "Deputy Master, hug him now. Hold on tight." Even just hugging. Over time, the space will drop a little more. Left with no choice, Mu Yao resignedly hugged Wen Nangxi. The moment he did, for some reason, when Nangxi's speed visibly slowed down, they flew over mountains. And below, the river water was crystal clear. So clear you could even see the plump fish swimming in it. When Nangxi, "Let's go catch fish by the river." Hearing this, the man immediately shifted back to human form, gently catching the falling Mu Yao and setting him softly on the ground. "Does mistress want to catch fish?" "I want to eat fish." Seeing his suddenly excited mistress, Wen Nangxi couldn't help but laugh. "Alright, let's go catch some fish." When Nangxi used his wind ability, and the water surface swirled into a vortex, a dozen fish were instantly flung onto the shore. Then he picked some water plants and strung the fish together. Just as they were about to head back, Mu Yao's eyes lit up again. He'd spotted river snails and river shrimp. The Beastman continent is way better than the Shepherd continent. So many resources here. Food everywhere. After storing all the gathered food in his space, when Nangxi brought Mu Yao back to the food hut, seeing that Xiao Jihan and Hualai still hadn't returned, when Nangxi explained, "They probably went hunting deeper in the mountains. They should be back before dark." Mu Yao said it was fine out loud. They can come back whenever they want. But inside, he thought it'd be better if they didn't come back at all. Today's haul was more than enough for him and Wen Nangxi to live on. When Nangxi noticed his unusual mood, and there wasn't a trace of anger in it. In the past, he would have definitely cursed a few times. After working all day, Mu Yao's stomach was growling. Looking at the big fish weighing 5 or 6 pounds, he decided to make fish noodles. Then, Mu Yao quickly picked out a few fish and started cleaning them. To his surprise, when Nangxi actually came over on his own. "Mistress, do you need any help?" "Then help me wash the mushrooms and sweet potatoes." Following instructions, when Nangxi carried a wooden basin to the yard, Mu Yao's knife skills were excellent. In no time, all the fish were cleaned. But just then, the system suddenly spoke up. "Host, your cooking smells amazing. Too bad the system can't taste it." Mu Yao was speechless. Since when can a system smell things? After being with the host for so long, I developed sensory abilities. I really love the host's innocent tone. It sent a chill down Mu Yao's spine. "I really wish I could let you taste my cooking." But right at that moment, the yard gate suddenly burst open. Hualai walked in carrying a wild boar on his shoulder. Seeing Wen Nangxi working while injured, his gorgeous eyes darkened instantly. "You're hurt that badly? He actually won't let you rest, and makes you gather food?" When Nangxi kept washing the sweet potatoes, "No, the mistress gathered all these ingredients." Seeing Wen Nangxi defend the advisor, Hualai got even angrier. His fox eyes turned cold. "One healing session? And you're already taking his side? Forgot how he treated you before? Who knows what he's scheming this time?" As he said this, Hualai's tone grew heavier. Seeing Hualai so worked up, Wen Nangxi found it amusing. "The mistress is building a house and cooking right now. If you don't believe me, go see for yourself." Hualai then looked inside the hut, and for a moment thought he was hallucinating. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. That spoiled mistress was actually slicing fish fillets? Wasn't he the laziest one of all? Before he could recover from the shock, he watched Mu Yao slice fish with lightning-fast knife skills. Hualai felt like he'd been hit with 1,000,000 damage points. Then when Nangxi quietly added, "This morning, while you were gone, he made breakfast too. Used those sour red berries. It was really good." Hualai was skeptical, but silently grabbed a knife and started skinning the boar. Busy at work, Mu Yao heard the commotion in the yard. He caught a glimpse of the silent Hualai and suddenly remembered. His predecessor once went crazy on Hualai, and while he was badly injured and in beast form, tried to skin his fox pelt for fur. Man, gotta say, that fiery red fox fur was really something. Remembering all that, Mu Yao had a bit of a headache. But when she saw that wild boar, her eyes lit up even brighter. The boar hide could be used for leather, and the fat could be rendered for frying food. No more worrying about snacks from now on. While cutting up the pork, Walleye suddenly felt a chill down his spine, remembering how he used to get whipped. His chest tightened and he could barely breathe. Xiao Jihan came back with water and saw how pale he was. What happened? Did she do something to you again? Walleye looked like a wronged little wife. He lowered his head and said, she didn't do anything. She's never even stepped foot in a kitchen her whole life. She has no idea how to cook. You think she's trying to poison me this time? Hearing that, a flicker of concern crossed Xiao Jihan's cold eyes. Ever since she hit her head yesterday, she really hasn't been herself. It's all my fault. If I hadn't fought back, maybe she wouldn't be so obsessed. After the two of them analyzed it carefully, they decided to skip dinner. Getting poisoned by their mistress would be way too humiliating. Mu Yao had prepared dinner for 4. But only when Nangxi showed up to eat. She wanted to just ignore them. But her predecessor had been such a nightmare. If she didn't improve their impression of her, she could easily end up dead. But the system saw right through it. Host, they're afraid you drugged the food. Mu Yao's mouth twitched. No wonder they refused to come eat. To make sure there was no poison, he ate the food right in front of Wen Nangxi. Drank the soup. I didn't drug it. And definitely didn't poison it. He paused, then added, I'm counting on you guys to protect me. Find food for me. No way I'd hurt you. When Nangxi's eyes stayed warm and soft, I know they'll eat. When Nangxi brought the food to the two beastmen, the two who'd sworn not to eat felt their stomachs growl at the mouth-watering smell. With their injuries and hunting all day, they couldn't hold out anymore. When Nangxi said gently, the mistress is right. He still needs us to protect him. He won't hurt you. Staring at the fish soup and stir-fried veggies with eggs, Barry hesitated for a moment, then started eating. Once they tasted it, they realized how incredible it was. One bite and it beat everything in Shou Wang City. If they hadn't tried it themselves, they wouldn't have believed it. At the same time, heavy confusion filled their minds. It felt totally unreal. But the doubt only grew. Mu Yao could identify food. And cook too. When Nangxi came back from delivering the food, he saw Mu Yao still waiting at the table. His heart stirred. Mistress, were you waiting for me? Of course, we cooked together, so we eat together. In Mu Yao's eyes, they were a survival team now. Eating well was the only way to stay strong and survive in this tribe. As for those few top tier, those stunning beauties were dangerously tempting. But he wasn't foolish enough to get emotionally involved. The moment when Nangxi met Mu Yao's eyes, a soft warmth spread across his elegant face. On the other side, the two who had finished eating stared at the empty bowls and plates. After a long silence, Hua Lingyi finally spoke. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'd never believe he cooked this. I've never eaten anything this good, even back home. Xiao Jihan said quietly. By tribe rules, we should be the ones taking care of him, not the other way around. That topic made Hua Lingyi frustrated. We didn't want to cook? He's the one who always said it tasted bad. Did the sun rise from the west today or something? Hua Lingyi still couldn't believe it. He paused for a moment. When Nangxi said he's different today, could it actually be true? A flicker of emotion crossed Xiao Jihan's cold eyes. Thinking back, it seemed like after he hit that wall and woke up, his eyes were different. A suspicion formed in his mind. Xiao Jihan's expression shifted slightly, but he wasn't sure. As they walked out the door, they ran into Mu Yao busy in the courtyard. Hua Lingyi was so startled he immediately used a detection skill. But no matter how he looked, it was definitely him. When Nangxi, who had just finished cleaning up, saw Mu Yao scrubbing the animal parts, he was surprised those were always thrown away. No beastman would ever eat those. Mu Yao knew beastmen had no idea how to cook. So she explained patiently. These are actually really good stuff. Once cleaned with plant ash and cooked, they're edible. From now on, keep the organs from our prey. I promise you won't go hungry again. Looking at Mu Yao's serious little face, when Nangxi's eyes softened. I trust you, mistress. Need any help right now? Then cut these sweet potatoes into small pieces. Use some for sweet potato soup. And turn the rest into sweet potato starch. He didn't fully understand what Mu Yao meant. But when Nangxi obediently took the sweet potatoes and left, when Nangxi was about to head to the hut, when he saw Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi boiling water, according to the duty roster, today was supposed to be his turn to serve the mistress. Hua Lingyi rubbed his hands nervously. Since he'd eaten her cooking, he should do something too. He couldn't just let the mistress do all the work. When Nangxi nodded in agreement. We dug up a lot of sweet potatoes today. The mistress wants them all cut up. Might as well help out together. So the three of them fell into a smooth division of labor. Mu Yao, who had just come inside, was a bit surprised. At that moment, when Nangxi, Tang Zhong, Xiao Jianhen, and Hua Lingyi had set up an assembly line for the sweet potatoes, the sweet potatoes were too hot fresh out of the pot. They had to cool down before straining through the gauze. They're still hot right now. Wait a bit for them to cool, then you can squeeze them through this gauze. Before Mu Yao even finished speaking, frost formed at Xiao Jihan's fingertips. A wave of cold air swept through, cooling everything instantly. Mu Yao's eyes lit up. This was a natural ice box. From now on, he definitely had to get Xiao Jihan to build him an ice cellar. Then he worried he might get turned down. Seeing Mu Yao look like he wanted to say something, Xiao Jihan frowned slightly. Mistress, is there something you need? Mu Yao froze. He didn't expect Xiao Jihan to ask him directly. Could you dig an ice cellar over there for me? That way stored food won't go bad. Otherwise, if we can't eat it all, it'll go to waste. It was a habit he'd picked up in the tomb. He hated wasting ingredients. Hearing this, not only did Xiao Jihan's expression shift, even Hua Lingyi was surprised. Wasn't he the one who wasted food the most? Xiao Jihan's expression changed again and again. He quietly replied, okay. Then turned and walked toward the yard. Hua Lingyi wasn't about to be outdone. He used his fire lizard directly, which could boost the flames. Mu Yao was stunned by the sight. This ability is great. It's super useful in winter. You wouldn't even need kindling to start a fire. Hua Lingyi didn't know what Mu Yao was thinking, but he saw his gaze fixed entirely on the fire. He waited to see what the mistress would do next. Mu Yao led him through filtering and settling the starch. After all that, they finally used the boiled water to bathe. Just as he got dressed and stepped out of the room, the sound of fighting suddenly erupted outside the door. He went to the entrance. Mu Yao's pupils shrank. The tribe's beastmen were all fighting mutant beasts, and these monsters were even more vicious than the ones from the day. Watch out! Xiao Jihan moved in an instant, and an ice blade formed from his ability, pierced straight through one mutant beast's skull. To keep Mu Yao from being scared, he thoughtfully froze the beast's body. Then Hua Lingyi unleashed her flame ability, burning the mutant beast away, with Wen Nangxi finishing off the rest. The fight was over quickly. When Nangxi rushed to Mu Yao's side first. Mistress, are you okay? The three of them looked at Mu Yao's calm expression. A little surprised, Mu Yao shook her head, letting them know she was fine. On the surface, she seemed calm. But inside, she was thinking that before she regained her strength, she really did need their protection. But she'd promised 3 months, so she had to get stronger fast. It's fine, mistress. Going out with wet hair can make you sick. Let's head back inside. Before Mu Yao could react, Wen Nangxi gently scooped her up and carried her inside. Mu Yao never expected Wen Nangxi to hold her like that. She instinctively wrapped her arms around his neck. As Wen Nangxi carried Mu Yao, he could smell the faint, sweet scent on her. This scene completely stunned Xiao Jihan and Hua Lingyi. When Nangxi actually held Mu Yao, that never happens. When Nangxi seemed gentle and refined, but he wasn't exactly easygoing. Then the system chimed in, all excited. Host, take the chance while it's here. More hugs unlock more perks. Mu Yao screamed inside. When Nangxi seemed gentle, but inside, he was anything but easygoing. The system kept egging the host on. Come on, let him hug you more. Host, hold on tighter. A kiss would be even better. Maybe it'd unlock even more perks. Hearing the system's voice, Mu Yao instantly felt a headache coming on. If I did that, he'd probably toss me across the room. Host, when Nangxi hugged you on his own, that means he doesn't hate you. For supplies, it's not embarrassing at all. Staring at the handsome face so close, it'd be a lie to say he wasn't tempted. But Mu Yao didn't dare be too forward. Who knew if this man would turn on him? But when Nangxi was the one who hugged him first, so holding on a little longer should be fine, right? When Nangxi had no idea what Mu Yao was scheming, he walked inside and set him on the bed. Seeing Mu Yao still wouldn't let go, he looked down at him gently and said, Are you feeling unwell? Mu Yao pressed his lips together. He closed his eyes and forced himself to say, I'm a little scared. The moment he said it, he wished he could crawl into a hole. Hearing those words, when Nangxi's heart softened, he held him tighter. Don't be afraid, I'm right here. I won't let any mutant beast hurt you. Just then, two others happened to see this. Hualing and Xiao Jihan exchanged a look. A strange feeling stirred in their hearts. At that moment, Mu Yao's half-scarred face, hidden by Wen Nengxi's embrace, only half his face was visible. Under the room's light, he looked cool as snow, maybe because he'd just showered. He gave off an almost otherworldly vibe. They realized they'd never really looked at him before. Supplies delivered. The system alert snapped Mu Yao back. He quickly let go. I'm okay now. He didn't dare look at Wen Nengxi's face, afraid he'd see that he was just using him. Wen Nengxi smiled warmly. Mistress, your hair isn't dry yet. You'll catch a cold. Wen Nengxi was about to dry Mu Yao's hair, but Hualing beat him to the bedside. Let me, he activated his fire ability. Mu Yao couldn't help but marvel. This was way more efficient than a hairdryer. But what Mu Yao didn't know was that foxkind have incredibly sharp senses. Hualing breathed in the scent of the pheromones, warm like sunlight, and couldn't help craving to get closer. He almost lost control of the flames in his hands. A tiny spark shot from his finger. Xiao Jihan immediately sent out a blade of energy to snuff out the small flame. Hualing snapped back to reality. Sorry, he quickly apologized. Even though Hualing kept apologizing, Mu Yao felt like this jerk was trying to burn him alive. Either way, thanks for protecting me tonight. To show my gratitude, I'll cook you something good tomorrow. Then he changed the subject. Where do these mutant beasts come from? Wen Nengxi explained. When beasts are infected by a strange dark aura, they mutate into mutant beasts. They instinctively attack beastmen. Especially on the night of the full moon. They often raid tribes in packs. Listening to Nengxi's explanation, Mu Yao's expression turned serious. Do you know what kind of dark aura it is? No one knows. The farther north and colder it gets, the more mutant beasts there are. This place is an exile tribe because of the mutant beasts. After taking all that in, Mu Yao sent them off. Then he vanished into the system space. Seeing the seasonings on the ground, his eyes lit up. With these, he could make all kinds of great food. He'd been wondering what to do with those pork innards. Talk about a pillow arriving just as you're about to sleep. Seeing Mu Yao so happy, the system cheerfully agreed with its host. These sweet potatoes are all natural and chemical-free, and twice the size of normal ones. Mu Yao immediately focused his mind. Crops in the planting space grow super fast, yielding 10 times more than outside. Meanwhile, the two standing in the yard remained silent. Xiao Jihan knew fox beastmen had incredibly sharp senses of smell, so he asked if Hualing had noticed something. Hualing looked troubled. My true form is a 9-tailed fox. I can smell the mistress's pheromones, and they're completely different from before. But according to my clan's records, a person's pheromones can change slightly, but they never completely turn into a different scent. Before, his scent was harsh and off-putting, but today, his scent was clean and warm, like delicate flowers and warm sunlight. Inside, Xiao Jihan lay in bed, unable to sleep all night, tossing and turning, replaying the day's events. Suddenly, urgent knocking came from outside. Hey, you home? Mu Yao hurried out to open the door. Wen Nengxi immediately followed, standing protectively in front of her. Lin King stood in the snow with two strangers. The chief and his wife need to see you. Because the original owner wasn't well liked, the chief was still cautious when he saw Mu Yao. Miss Yisu, our daughter was bitten by a mutant beast. Even Wu Yi has no solution. Please save her. We'll pay any price. Watching the tribe's most respected couple humble themselves for their daughter, Mu Yao's expression softened. Come on, let me take a look. Hearing Mu Yao agree so suddenly, the chief and his wife were stunned. The wife hadn't expected him to agree so readily. If you can save her, miss, you'll be a hero to our entire tribe. Mu Yao knew that with the chief's gratitude, from now on, life in the Guluo tribe would be much easier. When they arrived at the chief's home, the little girl on the bed sensed Mu Yao's approach and gradually stopped crying. When Mu Shi was able to examine her, Mu Yao noticed the familiar black aura around the little girl's leg wound. She activated Mu Shi's healing power. As green light bloomed, the black aura completely vanished. The flesh healed right before their eyes. Everyone watching was stunned. She's fine now. Just let her rest for a few days. She also needs more nutrition. The reason her wound got so infected is because she's naturally weak. At that, the chief's wife's eyes welled up. To be honest, Miss Mu Yao, if it weren't for the medicine the witch doctor gave, Ninging wouldn't have made it this long. Mu Yao had already figured it out when she checked her pulse. The reason she couldn't eat is because meat is hard to digest. It's best to cook it thoroughly first. And she should get more sunlight. She then gave a few more tips. When it was time to leave, the chief's wife held onto Mu Yao, reluctant to let go. The chief gave her a bag of gold coins as payment, along with some meat and corn flour. Mu Yao figured Beastmen probably aren't great at cooking, so she decided to cook some up and bring it over the next morning. After all, staying on good terms with the tribe chief would make life in the tribe easier. 3 months later, after cutting ties with her foster father, she'd still need to keep living in the tribe. As they left, the chief couldn't help but remark, "Rare to see you take such a liking to someone. I don't know why, I just really like this kid. Maybe we misjudged Miss Mu Yao before. You're the chief of the Beiluo tribe. We should take better care of them from now on." The kid, who's usually scared of strangers, ran over. "One really likes Sister Mu Yao. She's so warm and smells so nice." The little girl snuggled in her mother's arms. Hearing that, the lady smiled too. "You too. It'd be great if you could be friends someday." At that moment, Mu Yao, exhausted from the day, couldn't fall asleep. It's so hot out. And there are mosquitoes at night. Guess I'll need to weave a grass mat tomorrow. The next day, Mu Yao got up extra early. She opened the door and ran into Hua Lingyi mid-cultivation. The moment he saw Mu Yao, his fox-like eyes curved up. He immediately brought the basin and toiletries over to Mu Yao. Seeing her surprised look, he quickly explained, "As your foster husbands, this is what we're supposed to do. You're only my foster husbands in name for now. In 3 months, you'll be free, so no need for this." Hua Lingyi heard her words, and for some reason an uneasy feeling rose in his chest. He still couldn't figure out why. "Well, there are still 3 months. We should take care of you during that time." Mu Yao couldn't help but roll her eyes. "Don't worry, without you, I won't starve." With that, she went ahead and washed up on her own, leaving the man standing there confused, watching Mu Yao busy herself with cooking. He hadn't even said anything harsh. But hearing all this, his heart felt heavy, almost suffocating. He wanted to explain, but didn't know how. It was true that they wanted to leave. But why did hearing her say it not feel as good as he'd imagined? Hua Lingyi watched her busy figure, so small and thin, like she'd been abandoned by them. It was hard not to feel sorry for her. She wasn't arrogant. And when she wasn't scolding them, she wasn't so hard to get along with. "Can I help with anything?" Mu Yao told him to go work on the starch, so he'd stop overthinking things. Making braised food took a while, and you had to watch the heat carefully. Once the aroma started spreading, when Nangxi and the others looked amazed, even Lin Jing, dreaming next door, started drooling. After Mu Yao finished preparing the food, she went to call them for dinner. The 3 of them hadn't been idle either. They'd swept the yard spotless, and even built the ice cellar they'd talked about yesterday. "This is the ice cellar we finished last night. Mistress, if anything's not to your liking, I can fix it up again." Xiao Jihan watched him slip on the ground, and instinctively reached out to steady him. Mu Yao found the ice cellar layout very well designed, with steps added for convenience. "Xiao Jihan, thank you. This way. The leftover pork and pork skin from yesterday can all be stored here." Seeing her sincere smile, Xiao Jihan's heart stirred. He really had changed. "Mistress, if you need anything else, just let me know." "No need, let's eat breakfast first." After seeing how fierce the beast husbands were last night, Mu Yao didn't dare boss them around anymore. While the 3 men went to eat, Mu Yao took the corn egg custard to the chief's home. When Nangxi still wasn't at ease, and vanished like the wind, though few people were out on the tribe's pots, a little scrawny kid started shouting, "Ugly freak, mean and ugly freak. My mom says he has powers. We can't offend him." But Mu Yao didn't pay it any mind, still wearing a sweet smile on her face. That scared the little kids, and they all scurried back home. "Haha, those little kids are kinda cute." When Nangxi watched her from the shadows, seeing the bright, radiant smile on her face, and his heart stirred. Maybe this was her real smile. Around them, even when she smiled, she held back a little. At the chief's home, the chief's mate was surprised to see Mu Yao personally deliver the corn egg custard. "This is too kind of you." Seeing that Gu Lingling had fully recovered, Mu Yao was about to leave, when Gu Lingling boldly reached out and tugged her sleeve, blinking her round eyes, looking up at her all pitiful. Mu Yao's heart softened. She crouched down and said gently, "Try the corn egg custard first." Drink plenty and get some sun. And you'll get better. After giving those instructions, she left. When Mu Yao came back, she saw the three of them standing there like idiots. What are you guys doing standing here? Why aren't you eating breakfast? Did I not cook it well? Hearing that, Hualai's fox eyes curved slyly. She spoke with a hint of resentment. Mistress, did you forget the rules you set? If you haven't eaten, we're not allowed to eat. Before, we only got to eat whatever you left behind. Honestly, most of the time, Mu Yang would flip the table rather than let them eat. So most days, they went hunting on empty stomachs. As Bali Nyan spoke, her fox eyes locked onto Mu Yao. Those fox eyes were naturally mesmerizing. And when she focused on someone, they seemed to hold a world of affection. Mu Yao almost got lost in her gaze. Luckily, she kept her cool. She laughed it off, haha. That was the old rules. Didn't I promise you guys? A 3-month deadline? Once those 3 months are up and you're free, we'll go our separate ways. Just don't come after me. Right? I mean, she couldn't exactly say she wasn't the old her. When Nangxi, usually so gentle, raised an eyebrow, she spoke up first. Don't worry, mistress. Nangxi would never hurt you, not even a little. Hualai's fox eyes softened a lot. She quickly added, I just hope mistress won't go back to how she was before. Mu Yao was at a loss for words. Okay, fine. I admit I was wrong before. I want to apologize to all of you. As they say, time reveals the truth. So just bear with me for now. Maybe I can even release our contract early. Anyway, if his power grows, and we break the contract quickly, there won't be any worries left behind. When Nangxi watched her apologize, and felt a pang in his heart. It's okay, I don't blame you. Don't eat on an empty stomach. Let's eat first. With that, when Nangxi handed her a bowl, a vague custard at just the right temperature, Mu Yao noticed that little detail. And her heart tingled. She smiled and said, let's eat first. After we eat, I'll come hunting with you. But Hualai spoke up first. Today it's my turn to stay with mistress. Then, he looked at Mu Yao with those pitiful, coaxing eyes and said, wherever mistress wants to go, Lai will take you there, all right? When Hualai spoke, his voice trailed off, carrying a seductive, alluring tone. As if he was letting his charm loose. Mu Yao couldn't even meet his gaze. She knew foxes had the power to charm. Deep down, she actually wanted to go to the woods with Wen Nangxi. But she didn't trust any of the three. If she had to pick just one to protect her, she'd rather choose Wen Nangxi. But she could feel the silent rivalry between Hualai and Wen Nangxi. Mu Yao was afraid that if she said anything, the two would start fighting. So she just looked down, stirring the corn custard in her bowl with her spoon. Then let's just follow the rules. When everyone sat down to eat, she realized every single dish was amazing. So good. Everyone kept glancing at Mu Yao while they ate, their eyes full of curiosity and disbelief, as if trying to see right through her. Feeling the weight of their stares, Mu Yao just kept her head down and ate in silence. That meal was pure torture. When she finally looked up, she saw their bowls, and the huge platter of braised food all gone. She froze. Did you guys not get enough to eat? Or maybe she hadn't made enough? Seeing how utterly confused she looked, when Nangxi smiled softly and said, we're full. Mistress's cooking is delicious. We used to throw all this stuff away. Looking back now, that was such a waste. Mu Yao nodded, thinking to herself, I should make more next time. After all, even though they're lean, their bodies are special. They need a lot of food to keep their energy up. After the meal, when Nangxi and Xiao Jihan went hunting, as agreed, Hualai would take Mu Yao into the woods. Hualai shifted into his 9-tailed fox form, over 7 feet tall. Seeing Hualai's true form with her own eyes, Mu Yao was completely stunned. So beautiful, especially his red fur. Absolutely gorgeous. Now she understood why her predecessor was so obsessed with making clothes out of his fur. With such noble red fur, making clothes out of it would look absolutely stunning. Hualai was tall and lean, and Mu Yao couldn't reach him at all. She hopped up a few times, but it was no use watching her. Hualai's fox eyes showed a hint of a smile, finding her absolutely adorable. Then he wrapped a tail around her and gently set her on his back. He wanted to gather some herbs to remove the poison from his body. Also, when Nangxi and the other two had injuries on them too, which were seriously affecting their cultivation, and they must be in a lot of pain when her predecessor abused them. It actually triggered their mental frenzy, making their poison and injuries worse. He had a responsibility to fix all that. Only then could they move forward together. Walleye knew where the most herbs were. He ran fast with Muyao on his back. Muyao instinctively held on tight and realized holding fox fur felt completely different from holding a snake body. Oh wow! This fluffy fur was just too comfortable. Both pretty and soft. And it even had a faint, pleasant scent. As if under a spell, Muyao couldn't help but reach out and pet Walleye. His body trembled. And he stopped in the woods. His voice low and husky, he asked, "What is mistress touching?" Muyao snapped back to reality. "And nothing. Don't get the wrong idea. I just accidentally grabbed some fur." Muyao was worried the sly fox would turn on her. After all, this was deep in the mountains. If Hualingi wanted to kill him, no one would hear him even if he screamed. Hualingi could see right through Muyao. But this time, Muyao didn't dare make a move. He didn't dare touch Hualingi's fur either, even though it really was gorgeous and felt amazing to touch. The texture was just too good. But he still wanted to live. He liked how lush the mountains were here and how rich in resources. This place was nothing like the apocalypse. But when he thought about Hualingi's murderous intent and hatred, he could almost cry. Hualingi sensed something was off with him. The next moment, he shifted into human form, scooped Muyao up, and gently set him down. "What's wrong, mistress?" Muyao kept his head down, looking all pitiful, as if Hualingi had done something to him. This look, Hualingi had never seen before. It made it impossible to say a single harsh word to him. Muyao stared at the ground, then explained, "I didn't mean to grab your fur. If winter comes, when it's freezing cold, cuddling up with it to sleep would be so warm." Realizing what he just thought, Muyao was horrified. Oh no, why would he think that? Muyao shook his head hard, trying to shake the thought out of his mind. Hualingi looked down at him. Seeing him like this, he seemed so soft and vulnerable. A little soft and delicate. Almost cute, even. The word cute hit him. Hualingi froze. And in that moment, his heart softened. It actually felt tender. He used to despise him. But his instincts told him clearly. Something had changed. Hualingi almost reached out to ruffle his hair. But that old reluctance to get close was still there. He held back, not touching him. Yet his lips parted slightly. "It's fine," he said softly. "Grab however you want." Muyao blinked. He looked up at Hualingi. Then, he met those stunning, captivating eyes. So he wasn't planning to get back at him here. Muyao slowly let out a breath of relief. Guess the bond contract was keeping him in check. He wouldn't dare do anything to him. Still, he needed to watch himself too. Before the contract was lifted, they might come back for revenge. Muyao wouldn't bet on that. His predecessor had done so many awful things. If he were one of those bonded husbands, he'd want to tear him apart too. So he totally understood how they felt inside. Then Hualingi shifted back into his beast form. He carefully wrapped Muyao up with his tiger tail and set him on his back again. Just as he was about to move, Muyao quickly said, "Wait, put me down first." After Muyao climbed off Hualingi, he walked over to a tree nearby. "Is this a wheat tree?" It was covered in big, golden grains of wheat. Muyao thought he was seeing things. But looking closer, those grains really were wheat. They could finally have noodles and bread now. Muyao was thrilled. And excited too. But Hualingi had no idea what wheat was. All he knew was that Muyao was happy. Muyao put the wheat straight into his storage space, watching the wheat vanish in an instant. Lingi froze. But inside, a storm was brewing. A spatial ability? Or a dual ability? That was unbelievable. Was this really the same useless, vicious female beast who was a locust plague? Even as shock hit him, he worried she might go back to her old ways. Muyao noticed the sly fox's complicated expression. He asked, a little worried, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Whatever you need, Lingi can help. As long as she stayed this normal. No matter what she needed. He'd willingly be her host." 60 feet to the right were cabbages. Cabbages, Muyao's eyes lit up even more. He quickly looked over there. Sure enough, he saw them. The patch wasn't big, but it was more than enough. Muyao had brought his ancient blade this time. He started digging up cabbages with excitement. Looking at those big cabbages, his mind was full of all kinds of food. Dumplings, wontons, stuffed pies, and more. With Hualingi helping, it didn't take long. This patch of vegetables was quickly dug up. Mu Yao stored them all in his space. Then Hualingi naturally shifted back to his true form and carried Mu Yao deeper into the mountain forest. Before long, Mu Yao caught a strong scent of medicinal herbs. He looked up and saw all kinds of herbs in the valley. Hualingi spoke up to warn him in time. Some of these herbs are poisonous. Don't touch them carelessly. A beast wandered in here before and died from poison on the spot. I know, don't worry. I've got this. Even though he didn't recognize them, the system did. For herbs he didn't know, the space system could tell him if they were toxic. Not far away, he spotted some herbs that could cure the poison in his body. Hualingi watched him closely, afraid he might get poisoned at any moment. When Mu Yao turned around, he met Hualingi's worried, furrowed gaze. Hualingi, let's have lunch. I brought sweet potatoes in my space. We can roast some. Mistress, wait here. Don't move, I'll hunt some game nearby. Hualingi still wasn't reassured, so he shifted into his fox form and scattered some of his fur around the area. I've spread my scent around. If there's danger, I'll come right away. Mu Yao was a little taken aback. Not long after Hualingi left, a cold, mocking laugh suddenly echoed through the air. Hearing that voice, Mu Yao's whole body tensed up on instinct. He looked around, but found nothing. System, did you notice anything? Host, I didn't notice anything, except that herb by your foot is poisonous. Don't touch it. I heard a cold voice. It was full of murderous intent. My instincts told me it was dangerous. I suspect it's from my past life. Those 5 beast fathers from Beast Emperor City. They want to kill me, don't worry, host. I'm a space system. I can protect you. It's fine. Worst case, I'll power up that way. The space system knew what the host was planning. If the host forcibly devours the plant energy within 100 miles, to boost your powers, your body can't handle it, you'd burst and die. Even if you could survive it, there'd be side effects. Your body would become extremely weak, and it'd take a long time to recover. The space system reassured her. Don't be scared, host. I just sensed that your 9-tailed fox beast husband placed those fur strands around the area, and they carry his soul power. If you're in danger, he'll come back. I'm not counting on them to come protect me. They hate me to death. Just then, a sharp-beaked black giant bird attacked Mu Yao. But that attack was suddenly blocked by a red glow. Mu Yao looked surprised. That fox fur really does have power. Like a barrier. It could shield him from danger. So Hualingi really was protecting him. After the sharp-beaked giant bird was knocked back, it swooped down again in a spin. Mu Yao channeled his powers, holding an ancient blade in one hand to defend himself, while the other hand rapidly absorbed energy from the surrounding plants. His blood and chi were starting to surge. But just then, an arrow wreathed in flames pierced straight through the giant bird attacking him. At the same time, Hualingi landed in front of him, blocking him from harm. His 9 tails fanned out, enveloping Mu Yao in a protective stance, shielding him from every attack. Seeing Hualingi's figure, Mu Yao froze. He really came back. Hualingi didn't say a word, just went straight into battle. Suddenly, 2 more sharp-beaked black giant birds appeared in the sky, attacking them ferociously. Hualingi protected Mu Yao while drawing his bow and firing arrows. One of the giant birds shifted into human form and sneered. Hualingi, your body is poisoned by fire, forcing yourself to use your artifact to fight us. Your mental sea will go berserk, and you'll end up dead or crippled. All to protect such a vicious female beast. Not worth it, our master has a secret method to break the binding contract. If he dies, you won't. So if you cooperate with us, my master will hand that secret method over to Wenyan. Mu Yao's face went pale. He refused to put his safety in someone else's hands. He was about to force his powers to surge, as natural energy gathered rapidly in his palm. Given a little time, even if Hualingi tried to kill him, he could hold him off. But what met him was Hualingi's cold sneer. He's my mistress. I won't let anyone hurt him. The words barely left his mouth before Hualingi drew his bow. He forced his fire ability to ignite. Mu Yao stared at that blazing flame aura. Even from just a silhouette, he looked stunningly beautiful. The giant crow was instantly engulfed in flames, reduced to ash. Hualingi fought desperately to keep himself together, but the searing pain made his whole body tremble. Don't come near me. I'll hurt you. Seeing Hualingi like this, Mu Yao's heart softened. I'm not running and I'm not leaving. You did this to save me? This look. I won't let anything happen to you. He might not be a good person, but he never forgot kindness. Walingi still had a shred of clarity left. Hearing those words, his fox eyes flickered. Did he hear that right? Through the haze, he met Mu Yao's earnest gaze. Then Mu Yao stepped forward and carefully placed his hand on Walingi's head. The next instant, he poured out his healing ability without reserve, channeling it into Walingi's body. Then Mu Yao entered his mental sea. But all he saw was a small red fox beastman, curled up in a corner being bullied. Beat that worthless red fox fur off him. You disgrace. A crowd was kicking and punching him. Then the scene shifted. Walingi was kneeling at the door. Useless, worthless trash. The clan head hates you and your father the most. Watching it all, Mu Yao's chest tightened. So this was what he'd been through. Mu Yao wanted to protect him, but it felt like a barrier kept him out. No matter how hard he pushed, nothing worked. Until this time, Mu Yao broke through the barrier. He crouched down and carefully picked him up. It's okay, everything will be okay from now on. Then he poured every bit of his healing power into Walingi's body. When Walingi was at his lowest, when he thought he'd die in the snowstorm, a light suddenly appeared in the courtyard. A woman walked out of the glow. She seemed to embody all the beauty of the world. She smiled at him, warm like sunlight. He couldn't help wanting to get closer and closer. As waves of warm light flowed in, wrapping around him, his mental sea slowly began to heal. As if the storm had passed, his spirit form, now bathed in warmth and light, instinctively wrapped around her, holding her tight. His fox tail coiled up her leg. His fox eyes were practically dripping with allure. Mu Yao felt a jolt of electricity run through her whole body. No, this tingling, dizzying feeling. Mu Yao couldn't handle it at all. Walingi's fox eyes curved slightly, his gaze filled with desperate longing. It was an instinctive craving for him. She wanted to get closer to Walingi. Wake up, don't you hate me? Look at who I am. Mu Yao tried to dodge away quickly, but it was useless. She couldn't. His head dropped to her neck. Mu Yao's lashes trembled, but the pain she expected never came. She only felt warm breath on her neck. Mu Yao had never been in a situation like this. Her whole body went weak in an instant. Neither Walingi nor Mu Yao expected that when she said his name, her voice came out all soft, almost like she was begging. No, that wasn't her voice. She refused to admit it. Mu Yao shut her mouth immediately. She knew if this kept up, her mental sea would be completely swallowed by Walingi. Mu Yao used her wood ability to soothe him again, until his gaze finally calmed down. She emerged from his mental sea. She'd used too much of her wood ability. After leaving his mental sea, her legs were shaking. She couldn't stand and collapsed. Meanwhile, Walingi woke up, and once his body returned to human form, he caught Mu Yao in his arms. Be careful, mistress. Holding her like this, he pulled her right into his arms. When Walingi looked down at Mu Yao, his eyes held a soft, gentle warmth. The scent he'd picked up earlier wasn't wrong. Mu Yao really had changed. Walingi's eyes carried a restrained intensity, and he couldn't bear to let her go. Mu Yao gently pushed against his chest, feeling the solid touch beneath her hands. His abs were firm with strength. Her palms felt like they were burning, and she quickly pulled them back. Can you let me go first? Just then, the space system spoke up. Host, let him hold you. I leveled up a bit. The farmland doubled in size, and a small spring appeared. The moment she heard spirit spring water, Mu Yao got excited. The spirit spring water could restore her ability, and it could also help cure her poison. The system could tell what Mu Yao was thinking. As long as you stay close to your beast husband, the spirit spring water will keep growing. Waling had been holding Mu Yao, and when he heard her ask him to let go, he couldn't bring himself to do it. How are you feeling now? How's your recovery going? And what's the deal with the fire poison in your body? At the thought of it, Waling's face turned bitter. Zujia from the Beast Emperor City put the fire poison on me. It was to keep me under control. Mu Yao thought of something and said, I'm sorry. Back then, because of me, you had no choice but to marry me as my beast husband. You've been through so much. Waling gently stroked Mu Yao's hair. It's not your fault. Leaving the Zhu family was the right choice for me back then. Don't worry, once my powers grow stronger, I'll be able to fully remove the fire poison for you. For now, I can only purge it bit by bit. Seeing Waling act so normal every day, it was hard to imagine How he endured the pain of the fire poison. Mu Yao's eyes were clear, pure, and sincere. Hua Lingyi's heart was already shaken to the core. He couldn't hold back this time, and pulled Mu Yao into his arms again. This time he held on tight, like he wanted to melt him into his chest. Thank you, mistress. Thank you. Besides saying thank you, Hua Lingyi didn't know what else to say, because he was so overwhelmed. His fox eyes took on a hint of alluring red. A slight twitch of his eyelid was enough to captivate the soul, though hugging would upgrade the space. After the upgrade, holding on like this wouldn't have much effect anymore. It's getting late. If we pick some herbs this afternoon, we can head home early. Hearing this, Hua Lingyi reluctantly let go. Mistress must be hungry, right? I caught 2 wild chickens. Let's eat together in a bit. Mu Yao's eyes lit up. Then there might be some eggs around here too. Sure enough, after looking around, the space system suddenly got excited. Host, walk another 100 meters ahead. There are wild eggs in the grass under that tree. Mu Yao quickly headed that way, and sure enough, found the wild eggs. Let's take these back first. As long as the temperature is right, we can hatch chicks at home. After Hua Lingyi prepped everything, she planned to roast the wild chicken over fire. Mu Yao pulled out the leaves she picked yesterday from her space and stuffed the chicken with scallions and ginger. Then she grabbed seasonings from her space. She wrapped the chicken in a clean lotus leaf and coated it with a layer of mud. Once that was done, she dug a pit, and once it was cooked over the fire, it'd be ready to eat. Hua Lingyi found it fascinating, but seeing how excited Mu Yao was, she just followed along. After it was all set, Hua Lingyi used her fire ability to roast it. As it cooked, a rich, mouth-watering aroma filled the air. Hua Lingyi hadn't felt hungry before, since she was used to skipping lunch. But the smell totally brought her appetite back. Once it was done, Hua Lingyi did what Mu Yao said, and cracked open the mud first. The chicken was still piping hot. Mu Yao caught the scent, and stared at the roasted chicken with eager eyes. Hua Lingyi looked at her, and thought her mistress looked adorable right now. Her heart softened in an instant. Hua Lingyi didn't waste any time, and used a clean knife to cut off pieces of meat, placing them on a fresh lotus leaf. She used her ability to cool it down, wrapped it up and handed it to Mu Yao. Nowadays, whenever Hua Lingyi watched Mu Yao eat, she took care of her with the utmost attention. At that moment, he completely forgot that he'd wanted to leave Mu Yao before. Mu Yao took it from her and took a bite of the chicken wrapped in the lotus leaf. The flavor instantly filled her mouth. Mu Yao's eyes curved into crescents, her smile bright as sunshine, clear and warm. When Hua Lingyi looked down at Mu Yao, he noticed her rosy lips, with a tiny piece of chicken stuck at the corner. Mu Yao felt Hua Lingyi's gaze, and looked up at him, only to meet his fiery, spellbinding fox eyes. What, is there something on my face? Mu Yao touched her cheek, and felt nothing. Then she stuck out her tongue and lightly licked her lips, still feeling nothing. Little did she know that move made Hua Lingyi's eyes darken. His Adam's apple bobbed, stirring a wave of longing. It's nothing, don't move. Hua Lingyi's voice was low and smooth, carrying a hint of heat. Then he leaned in close, reaching out with his long, jade-like, well-defined, delicate fingers. Gently, he wiped the bit of chicken from the corner of her mouth. His fingertip brushed across her lips, making Mu Yao's lips tingle. The numbness, like an electric current, seemed to travel straight from her lips to her heart. Mu Yao's heart skipped a beat. The feel of her skin under his fingertip made Hua Lingyi's fox eyes grow even darker. He almost couldn't bear to pull his hand away. They're all good. Mu Yao steadied herself. She told herself he was only being nice because of the fire poison. They still hated him deep down. With that thought, the ripples in Mu Yao's heart instantly went still. You should eat too. Only eating 2 meals a day doesn't give you much energy. It's also bad for your recovery. Once things get better at home, we should make sure you get 3 proper meals a day. I actually have plenty of strength. I'm really capable. Hearing that, Mu Yao blinked, confused. Hua Lingyi's ears turned slightly red. He didn't know how to explain. Realizing the wild thoughts in his mind, he quickly shook his head. After the meal, Hua Lingyi shifted back into his fox form. He carefully wrapped his tail around Mu Yao, ready to head home. After walking for a bit, he noticed Mu Yao sitting perfectly still, not even touching him. Then he said softly, "Mistress, you can hold onto me tight. Otherwise I'll have to slow down." Only then did Mu Yao reach out and hug him. The moment she wrapped her arms around him, Mu Yao couldn't help but think, this fur was just way too soft. Little did she know, the moment she hugged him, Hua Lingyi almost lost his footing. For some reason, at that moment, he could feel every inch of her body against his. A wave of heat surged through him, but he had to hold it back, so much that his body was trembling slightly. His fox eyes glowed with a seductive red, almost intoxicating. He craved pressing closer to her, so he moved faster and faster. Liu Yao naturally didn't notice any of this. Afraid of falling, she could only hold on tight. Little did she know, the feeling of her pressed against him made Hua Lingyi's whole body flush red. Luckily, his red fox fur hid the heat building inside him. By the time they got home, Wen Nangxi and Xiao Jihan had already returned with their catch. But when Nangxi saw Mu Yao clinging to Hua Lingyi, a strange heaviness settled in his chest, especially the look in Hua Lingyi's eyes. That was the look of someone about to go into heat. So he hurried over and lifted Mu Yao down. Mistress, you're back. Did you tire yourself out there? Mu Yao didn't want to get lost in their tenderness. She took a small step back. When Nangxi noticed her pulling away, and a flicker of disappointment crossed his eyes. It wasn't tiring. I gathered some herbs. I'll lay them out in the yard to dry first. Then I can process them and make some medicine pouches. She checked the sweet potato starch, it had settled again. When Nangxi used his ability to drain all the water from the vat, leaving clean sweet potato starch at the bottom, Mu Yao thought of Hua Lingyi's fire ability. She turned to look at him. But to her surprise, Hua Lingyi's gaze was already on her. The moment she turned, she locked eyes with Hua Lingyi's mesmerizing gaze. Mistress, need me to help with something? Can you dry out this starch? Like sun-dried kind of dry. Easy. He channeled his fire ability and quickly dried the sweet potato starch. Mistress, is this good? Mu Yao reached out and touched the dried starch. This is perfect. I'll make sweet potato noodles for dinner tonight. Meanwhile, Xiao Jihan watched the two men hovering around Mu Yao and felt something stir inside him. That evening, Mu Yao made another huge spread, but all three men had mixed feelings. When Nangxi looked at Mu Yao's fingers with concern, Mistress, your hand got burned. From now on, Mistress just needs to tell us what to do. We'll handle the cooking. It's fine, this little burn doesn't hurt at all. She wasn't used to relying on others anyway. Besides, everyone helped out with the cooking too. Hearing that, the three of them froze. They all sensed the subtle shift in Mu Yao's demeanor. Her expression changed slightly, taking on a hint of distance. The food had been delicious, but sensing Mu Yao's displeasure, they all went quiet. After dinner, everyone rushed to clean up the dishes. When Nangxi was the first to come to Mu Yao's side. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that during dinner. No, really, I'm not upset. When Nangxi spoke softly, and Mu Yao's answers seemed perfectly normal. But when Nangxi just felt like she had a wall around her, shutting everyone out. He wanted to get close but couldn't. Xiao Jihan watched for a while, got bored, and went back to his room. Hua Lingyi found things to do in the yard, grabbing a rag to wipe down the door frames. Mu Yao worked for a bit and made for insect repellent sachets. These 3 are for you guys. Put them by your bed at night, and the bugs won't bother you. Looking at the sachets he handed over, when Nangxi felt a mix of emotions. Thanks, mistress. No need to thank me, you all take good care of me every day. This is nothing. Care goes both ways. There's no should or shouldn't about it. I just hope you'll remember the little things I do and not turn against me later. A flicker of loneliness passed through Wen Nangxi's eyes. She knew Mu Yao was still worried they might hurt her. Hal I overheard this nearby, and it felt like a weight pressed down on his chest. That night, as she was sleeping, Mu Yao suddenly caught a familiar scent. The moment she opened her eyes, she saw a fiery red fox sitting by her bed. Lingyi, why aren't you asleep? What are you doing sitting here? Aren't they all avoiding you? Mu Yao never expected someone to show up in her room in the middle of the night. Then while Lingyi lifted his fox eyes, looking at Mu Yao seriously, the moment she saw that sly fox, she instinctively sat up and scooted back on the bed, all the way to the wall, putting as much distance between them as possible. Watching Mu Yao's reaction, while Lingyi actually felt a pang of hurt. Even his fox eyes showed a hint of sadness. Does the 7th mistress really see me as some kind of monster? He hadn't even gotten close yet. Before, without them having to do anything. he would have been all over her in a second. But now, of course, he knew he wasn't the same person he used to be. So things were different. Now he actually wished Mu Yao would come to him. Then Wang Ling's fox eyes curved slyly, with a lazy, teasing charm. And he said softly, I'm your mistress's consort. I worry about my mistress. I want to keep watch over her through the night. Wang Ling didn't know why. But when he lay down at night, he just couldn't sleep. His mind was full of her. He even pictured her appearing in his mental sea. That feeling of being so close. And it made his whole body heat up. Mu Yao stared at Wang Ling with a strange look. Based on her predecessor's memories, this had never happened before. So she suspected something was off with Wang Ling. Aren't you afraid I'll do something to you at night? Or even if you have good self-control, what if I slipped you some kind of love potion? What would you do then? Her predecessor had used that kind of drug on Xiao Jihan before. And that stuff was pretty strong. Mu Yao thought this would scare Wang Ling off. But to her surprise, Wang Ling's fox eyes lit up with anticipation instead. The sly fox slowly moved closer to Mu Yao, looking down at her. Su Yao said teasingly, actually, mistress doesn't need to use any drugs. I can already be yours. Hearing that answer, Mu Yao's eyes went wide in shock. She quickly grabbed the animal fur nearby and wrapped herself up, not caring about the heat at that moment. Who would have thought this sly fox wouldn't play by the rules at all? Is his brain broken or something? Dude, I'm not feeling well right now. I can't, you know. She was totally not mentally prepared for this. She was scared Wang Ling would just go for it. Especially based on her predecessor's memories. Between a beast husband and his mistress, normally they'd want to be all over each other every day. Apparently bear beastmen had even stronger urges in that department than regular men. Wang Ling watched her reaction, watched her face turn red, though he felt a little disappointed. He also found it kind of amusing. His mistress really was quite innocent now. He wanted to push further, but was afraid of scaring his little mistress. He swallowed hard, pushing down his desire. He leaned in close and whispered in a seductive tone by her ear, mistress, don't be scared without your permission. Lingy won't do anything. It's just that I'm worried mutated beasts might show up. So I decided to stay in the room and watch over you. That way you can sleep peacefully. Mu Yao looked up at Wang Ling's expression. Judging from how he was acting just now, he was probably just teasing her. Or maybe he was trying to help suppress the fire poison. Let's get rid of that fire poison. So, Mu Yao gave Wang Ling a knowing look. Then I'll leave it to you. He wasn't worried, though. With a face like his, and everything he'd done before, there's no way they'd be interested in him. So he didn't have to worry about anything happening in the middle of the night. With someone keeping watch, he could sleep easy. Mu Yao lay down, feeling at ease. He finally relaxed and fell asleep within moments. Wang Ling listened to his soft breathing. He let out a helpless sigh. He really trusts me. Fell asleep that fast. Moonlight spilled into the room from outside, casting a beautiful glow over him, especially as he lay on his side, revealing that perfect profile. He was so beautiful, it was hard to look away. Almost without thinking, Wang Ling's fox tail crept closer, curling gently, wanting to wrap around him. His fox eyes tightened with a deep possessiveness. Just then, Wang Ling attacked on reflex, but stopped short when he saw Wen Nangxi. He didn't pull back his strike, just raised a fox eye. Wen Nangxi, what are you doing here? Wen Nangxi looked at the sleeping Mu Yao on the bed and lowered his voice. That's what I should be asking you. Up in the middle of the night. What are you doing here? Wen Nangxi usually comes across as gentle and refined, but right now there was a cold edge to him. Even a sharp, imposing aura, like he was ready to fight at any moment. Wang Ling narrowed his fox eyes, raised an eyebrow with a smirk, then tossed his silky long hair back, looking lazy and carefree. As your foster husbands, I'm naturally here to keep my mistress company. By the rules, today my mistress belongs to me. Doesn't she? When Nangxi's gentle gaze instantly turned cold, radiating danger. What are you doing? Wang Ling curled his lips into a smile, his whole demeanor dripping with laziness. Nothing much. Just wanted to give myself to my mistress. Too bad though. She seemed really reluctant and resistant just now. When Nangxi narrowed his eyes, watching Wang Ling. This morning, he wasn't like this. Then when Nangxi's gaze sharpened, tell me what happened in the woods today. Did you force him to do something? When Nangxi knew that nine-tailed fox beastmen are born with seduction arts and are masters at bewitching hearts. But for some reason, the thought of something happening around Mu Yao that he didn't know about, his fingers trembled, and his heart seemed to ache as if remembering the past. Inside, his whole demeanor suddenly turned dark and brooding. But the painted fox wasn't backing down either. His fox eyes shifted slightly, and he said in a low voice, "When Nangxi, he's my mistress too. Whatever he and I do I need to report to you?" But then in the next instant, around Wen Nangxi's veils, a biting, frigid aura surged forth. "Don't wake the mistress. Step outside." Wang Lingyi glanced back at the sleeping Mu Yao, then reluctantly walked out the door. But the moment he stepped out, Wen Nangxi's fingers moved, and in the next instant, countless bamboo thorns appeared before Wang Lingyi, aimed straight at him. Wen Nangxi poised to strike at any moment, cold and menacing. "Wang Lingyi, I'm warning you. If you don't love him, then don't mess with him. And don't you dare hurt him in any way." He knew very well that nine-tailed foxes are born with seduction arts, masters at bewitching hearts. If Nangxi worried he'd use his arts against Mu Yao at dinner last time, the dazed, sorrowful look in the mistress's eyes had been so obvious. And when he'd given them the insect repellent pouches, the words he'd said, they made it clear the mistress didn't trust them at all, and even thought they might hurt him. He couldn't say anything about that, but he could absolutely guarantee that he would never hurt him in the slightest, and he would never allow anyone else to hurt him either. Wang Lingyi seemed provoked by those words, and flames suddenly erupted around him, engulfing his body. His fox-like eyes narrowed sharply, a hint of angry red flashing in them. "Wen Nangxi, what are you even saying? How could I ever hurt the mistress?" The words barely left his mouth. Wang Lingyi released a burst of flames from his hands, hovering in the air, ready to fight Wen Nangxi. Wen Nangxi wasn't backing down either. With a wave of his hand, he cast a protective barrier around Mu Yao's room, making sure she could sleep peacefully. Then he said coldly, "And what exactly were you about to do while she was asleep?" Wang Lingyi's face turned red. He quickly explained, "I just wanted to hold her. I wasn't going to do anything." "You sneaky fox." Sure, he'd had an uncontrollable urge toward the mistress back then, but he really hadn't planned to do anything while she slept. Just hold her. Nuzzle against her. Was that not allowed? But then Wang Lingyi caught himself and said, "Wait, something's off. Wen Nangxi, you're acting weird. Before, when we did things with the mistress, you never reacted like this. So why now, when I get close to her, are you suddenly not okay with it?" Wen Nangxi's eyes darkened. "She's different now." Wang Lingyi froze. "So you know she's not the same as before?" When Nangxi studied Wang Lingyi's state, "The fire poison in you has weakened a lot. The mistress calmed your raging mental sea." Wang Lingyi, you know Wen Nangxi is smart. But Wen Nangxi's origins, his abilities and skills, even they couldn't be sure about them. Before, he couldn't be bothered with a lot of things, so he kept a low profile. Now he's finally showing his edge. "Right, the mistress removed part of the fire poison for me. Even I find it hard to believe. So with her being that good, how could I ever hurt her in the slightest? Wen Nangxi's current mistress isn't just your mistress alone, and I'll protect her with everything I've got." Besides, when Mu Yao rebuilt his mental sea, he saw what he was like inside it. That's how he knew he wasn't the same person as before. But that kind of thing, he naturally wouldn't go around telling people. When Nangxi listened to Wang Lingyi's words, and only then withdrew his ability, the two of them didn't end up fighting. But right after, Wang Lingyi turned to look at Wen Nangxi, studying him with a sharp gaze. "Wen Nangxi, is there something else you know?" Wang Lingyi remembered that Wen Nangxi was Mu Yao's father, brought back to Shouwang City back then, to become Mu Yao's foster father. What had the clan head entrusted him with? And where he came from? No one knew any of it. When Nangxi didn't answer, he just said calmly, "Mei Qingchen and Shen Qian still haven't come back. They have secret techniques that can counter the foster father contract. And the people from Shouwang City, they might try something against the mistress. We need to be fully prepared." Hearing this, even Wang Lingyi's fox-like eyes showed a look of grave concern. He said that today, 3 assassins came into the woods. They tried to kill the mistress. Those men were Zhang Mochuan's subordinates. When Wen Nangxi heard this, his gentle gaze turned cold. In an instant, it was filled with fierce killing intent. Zhang Mochuan is the heir of his family. the most famous first beauty of Showwang City. He was also one of the 5 consorts whose contracts were dissolved when Mu Yao was exiled 10 years ago. Back then, the mistress did a lot of crazy things for him. They say a husband for a day is worth 700 yuan. Who knew he'd send assassins to kill the mistress? What a cold heart. As he said this, Wang Lingyi suddenly smiled. That's fine too. From now on, the mistress has nothing to do with him. But right after, he suddenly remembered something. The day before yesterday when he went into the room to ask the mistress to write the divorce papers, the mistress agreed. He had brought up the mistress's beloved in Showwang City, but the mistress's expression was indifferent, as if she didn't care at all. That's good then. When Nangxi said calmly the assassins on the exile route were also his men, nothing surprising about that. He's in Showwang City, so he can't reach us here. Those assassins are nothing to worry about. What you should worry about are Mei Qingchen and Shen Qian, because those two are still the mistress's consorts in name, and they came to the tribe with us. But now they've disappeared. If those two decide to make a move, that won't be easy to handle. Wang Lingyi said, then we stay on guard. And the mistress should be on guard too. But the sly fox suddenly paused. Then he let out a self-deprecating laugh. They're the mistress's consorts. It's normal for them to be close to her. Telling her to be on guard doesn't hold much weight. You sneaky fox. Now he wished the mistress had fewer consorts around her. The fewer, the better. This damn possessiveness was out of control. At the same time, Xiao Jihan was meditating in his room, trying to improve his skills. He could have shut out all distractions, but he couldn't help listening to what was happening outside. After hearing it, he sighed. He really couldn't focus. Mu Yao's image kept popping into his head. He remembered something she'd said that evening. She said, you all treat me well. And as your mistress, I want to treat you well too. Care goes both ways. There's no should or shouldn't about it. He'd never heard words like that before. The belief ingrained in them all along was that beast husbands should take care of their mistress. As for the female beast who was the mistress, she just needed to enjoy a better life. There was even a saying, females stay far away from the kitchen, because no female beast would willingly cook for her beast husband. Even if some female was willing, she'd be afraid of being laughed at. But she was willing to go into the kitchen and cook. Xiao Jihan closed his eyes and sighed. Ever since he tasted her cooking, his heart felt restless. He couldn't calm down enough to cultivate. And right at this moment, the 3 of them were starting to think differently. Something had subtly shifted. But Mu Yao had no idea. She slept great that night, like she was soaking in a hot spring. The next morning when she got up, the moment she opened the door, Xiao Jihan was already waiting outside to help her wash up. Mu Yao felt a little helpless. She had no choice but to call when Nangxi and Wang Lingyi over too. From now on, I can get my own water and wash up myself. You don't need to take care of me like this. Xiao Jihan's stunningly beautiful face fell slightly. Out of habit, he lowered his head and said, I'm sorry. I failed to take care of you, mistress. It's my fault. Please punish me, mistress, by the usual pattern. If Mu Yao was unhappy, she'd take it out on all of them. Mu Yao looked at him. He should have been this elegant, untouchable, otherworldly beauty. But now he'd been trained to have no backbone at all. She couldn't help but sigh inside, and also felt a headache coming on. She quickly explained, no, that's not it. You don't have to be like this. And you don't have to apologize. I'm not going to punish anyone. What a gorgeous, pure soul. Her predecessor had broken him down into this. Always apologizing. What a total waste. Then Mu Yao softened her voice and continued, it's just that I'm not used to you guys. Just go do whatever you need to do. You don't have to hover around me all day. I don't need someone watching me wash my face and brush my teeth. That's so awkward. Meanwhile, Xiao Jihan and the other 2 stood nearby, all a bit stunned. Really, what? Now that there was nothing for them to do, they felt completely useless. After breakfast, Wang Lingyi and Wen Nangxi were in charge of hunting, while Xiao Jihan stayed home to take care of Mu Yao. Wang Lingyi looked at Mu Yao and said, Mistress, if you go into the woods, please be careful. He actually wanted to stay by her side, but she had more than just him as her mate. He had to follow the rules they'd set from the start. Originally, that rule was made because none of them wanted to take care of Mu Yao. But they couldn't just leave her to fend for herself, so they had to take turns. Now, though, it stung a little. Mu Yao shook her head. I'm not going into the woods today. There's a lot to do at home. I'll stay in the tribe. Hearing this, Wen Nangxi and Hua Lingyi instantly relaxed. But what they didn't know was that staying in the tribe would bring an even bigger danger. Xiao Jihong glanced back without showing anything, but said nothing. Just as they were about to head out, Mu Yao grabbed the sly fox. Oh, right. Sly fox, I mixed some medicine in the flowers. Once it's brewed, drink it before you go hunting. It's medicine to suppress the fire poison. If you drink it every morning and night, after a month, the fire poison will be half cured. The herbs I picked in the valley yesterday happen to have what we need for the fire poison. And this time he's brewing it with spiritual spring water. So it'll work even better. Sly Fox's eyes lit up. His fox eyes curved into a teasing smile. All charm and temptation. Mistress, you're so good to me. He thought Mu Yao was just saying that yesterday. Mu Yao couldn't handle that look from Sly Fox. She lowered her head, avoiding his gaze. On the road to exile, you all did your best to protect me. It's only right that I take care of you. Once you're all healed up, these 3 months will go by with even better protection. But right after, Hua Lingyi's expression shifted. His eyes darkened, because he didn't want to hear the words 3 months. If his mistress stayed like this, 3 months later, there's no way he'd ever leave her. Mu Yao didn't notice Sly Fox's expression. She kept her head down, brewing the medicine in a clay pot, then had Hua Lingyi control the fire with his ability. When Nangxi had already gone hunting, Xiao Jihan started tidying up the place, boiling water and chopping wood. He was someone who noticed what needed to be done and never stopped working. Despite his refined, elegant air, he was incredibly careful and efficient. While Sly Fox was controlling the fire to brew the medicine, he couldn't stop stealing glances at Mu Yao, watching her bustle around. The morning sunlight falling on her, she radiated warmth and gentleness. For some reason, Hua Lingyi's heart at that moment suddenly felt a flash of panic, because he was afraid of losing what he had now. Then he said softly, Mistress, the bug repellent packs you gave us last night were really great. Before, when someone from our tribe went to the city market, they spent 100 copper coins on a bug repellent pack. And it didn't even work. Hearing this, Mu Yao's expression shifted. She looked at Hua Lingyi and said, Market? Hua Lingyi explained gently, yeah. The closest city to our tribe is Hancheng. They hold a market there once a month. People from nearby tribes bring their stuff to trade at the market. Hearing those words, Mu Yao was shocked. A bug repellent pack. 100 copper coins. That expensive? A pound of wild meat only costs 20 copper coins. A wild egg is just 1 copper coin. 100 copper coins though. Hua Lingyi nodded. That's the price. Herbs are pretty pricey. Mu Yao listened, and her eyes lit up. So I could make some bug repellent packs and sell them at the market? That way I could earn more coins. Based on her predecessor's memories, Hancheng had lots of shops and lots of goods. She wanted to buy some daily necessities. She also wanted to find a blacksmith to make an iron wok, a kettle, and other things. Before, she didn't dare to dream of it. It's just that these things are way too expensive. The nearest market day is still half a month away. In these 2 weeks, she could prepare a lot of things. Once the medicine from the flower bell leaves was ready, Mu Yao wanted to pour it out for him. The Sly Fox quickly rushed over. Careful, mistress, it's hot. I'm not afraid of heat, I'll do it myself. Xiao Jihan watched the two of them laughing and chatting, interacting with each other. And a strange feeling rose in his heart. But then he remembered what Mu Yao had done before, and his eyes suddenly turned dark. He still couldn't trust her easily. But what happened next truly surprised Mu Yao. When Hua Lingyi drank the medicine, he gulped it down and finished it all in one go. Without even a moment's pause, Mu Yao looked at the Sly Fox's calm expression and felt a pang in her heart. She had made this medicine, so she knew exactly how bitter and awful it tasted. She never expected the Sly Fox to not even frown. Then she thought for a moment and pulled a few pieces of rock candy from her storage space. She held them out to him. The Sly Fox was startled, then instinctively reached out his hand. Mu Yao placed the candy in his palm. This is candy, she said. Let it melt in your mouth. It'll get rid of the medicine taste. Hua Lingyi put it in his mouth. After a moment, he felt an indescribable sweetness spreading through his mouth. That sweetness seemed to flow straight into his heart. It's really sweet, Mu Yao said with a soft laugh. Now the medicine won't taste so bitter. Hearing that, the sly fox's eyes instantly welled up with tears. Mu Yao looked at the scene before her, suddenly at a loss for what to do. The little fox had grown up, tormented and controlled by fire poison. And no one had ever cared whether her medicine was bitter. No one had ever given her candy either. But behind the misty tears, there was a gentle look. Shichu is really nice. Mu Yao met Waling's gaze, thinking he couldn't actually be moved to tears, could he? If that's the case, then in 3 months when he regains his freedom, he probably won't come after her, right? With that, Mu Yao felt relieved. The sly fox looked wild and untamable. But deep down, he was someone who had never known much warmth growing up. So she figured that making peace with Walingi and showing him kindness should work. Walingi, of course, had no idea what Mu Yao was thinking. At that moment, he was staring straight at her, his fox eyes slightly upturned, his voice low and hoarse. Mistress, can you always be like this from now on? Mu Yao paused mid-motion as she looked up and asked in confusion, like what? Like this, mistress. Don't go back to how you were before, okay? Mu Yao didn't know how to answer for a moment. Even she herself didn't know the real reason. She had crossed over to this beast world continent. So she asked the space system. System, is the original soul still here? The original soul of the host had issues. But by now, it's already long gone scattered to the wind. Because this body was always meant to be yours, host. It's just that now things are back on their original track. So from now on, you're the host. You don't need to worry about anything changing. Mu Yao listened to all this and suddenly felt like something was off. But before she could think more about it, she felt a sting in her palm. She looked up and saw Walingi with tears in his eyes. He was squeezing her hand tightly. And at that moment, the bad fox's eyes held a panic she'd never seen before. Mistress, you'll always be here, right? The bad fox was genuinely scared. He didn't want to face the old mistress. Don't worry, I won't go back to how I was. Walingi looked at the smile on his mistress's face and felt a hint of sweetness in his heart. Whether it was from the candy or something else, he didn't know. After taking the medicine, Walingi reluctantly left to go hunting. Then Mu Yao got back to work. She started wrapping up the wheat she'd gotten yesterday. The wheat grains on this continent were 2 or 3 times bigger than normal, so they were harder to process. Mu Yao would work for a bit, then glance at Xiao Jihan. She wanted to ask him to help. But with the big green snake and the bad fox gone, she was afraid of making Xiao Jihan angry and getting stabbed by his blade. Xiao Jihan stacked the firewood. Even though he was working quietly, he could still feel Mu Yao's eyes on him. Every time he turned to look at her, Mu Yao would quickly look down and pretend to be busy. After this happened a few times, Xiao Jihan finally spoke in a low voice, Mistress, is something the matter? The sudden voice startled Mu Yao. And nothing. The firewood's all chopped and stacked. Not sure what else needs doing. Please instruct me, mistress. Xiao Jihan knelt lightly, but kept his posture humble. As long as his mistress wasn't trying to drug him to bed, he could handle it. Mu Yao pointed at the weed on the ground. Then I'll leave it to you. Facing Xiao Jihan, Mu Yao still instinctively kept her distance. No trouble at all, she said, quietly stepping back to paces, so he wouldn't think she was making excuses to get close. Because her predecessor's biggest target had been Xiao Jihan. His aloof, disdainful aura was similar to Zhang Mochuan, the one her predecessor liked. Even though it wasn't her doing, it was still this body. So recalling those past events made her feel utterly ashamed. Xiao Jihan used his ability to control the wheat grains, separating them out quickly. But right at that moment, a cold, chilling voice came from the doorway. Beautiful like snow falling in an empty valley. Pleasant yet carrying a biting chill. Mu Yao felt the laugh was a bit mocking, yet strangely familiar. She looked up toward the door and saw a stunningly handsome man in dark robes standing there. So beautiful he didn't seem real. Like a rose blooming in the dead of night. Dressed in black brocade, with white jade at his waist, his long ink black hair cascaded down his back. Like a beautiful painting come to life. His whole presence radiated nobility and elegance. But strangely enough, he was giving off some kind of power. As if surrounded by dark mist. It felt incredibly oppressive. The moment she saw him, Mu Yao's expression shifted instantly. From her predecessor's memories, she knew this was one of her 5 beast husbands, Mei Qingchen. His true form was the Nether Black Panther. But up until now, her predecessor had never even touched his sleeve. Right now, Hualinian, Wen Ningxi, and Xiao Jihan were all in beast form. But Mei Qingchen wore an extremely noble brocade robe. Mei Qingchen, Mu Yao's eyes trembled. This man gave off a sense of overwhelming power. His pressure was even more intense. And when his phoenix eyes looked at her, they were filled with pure disgust. Host, you need to be careful. Your predecessor tried to sleep with this beast husband before. She never succeeded. Couldn't even touch his clothes. She was furious and wanted revenge. So she threw Mei Qingchen's precious life-bound sword into the death cliff during the exile journey. Oh, and during that exile, Mei Qingchen was badly injured protecting your predecessor. She took advantage while he was unconscious. He definitely came back to kill you. Mu Yao knew about the life-bound sword. It was a spirit weapon that had been with its master since childhood. It had a will of its own. When Mu Yao heard the system say this, her face went pale. Her mouth twitched. Oh no, her predecessor really was asking for it. She quickly tried to absorb the wood-type powers around her to boost her strength, but suddenly froze. Her powers weren't working. Mei Qingchen's rose-like lips curved into a faint smile. His voice dripped with mockery, mistress. So you do remember me? With a flick of his finger, Mei Qingchen drew a sword. But the blade was wreathed in dark energy. Its surface corroded and decayed. I'm sure this sword, mistress, looks familiar. Mu Yao stared at the sword, her pupils contracting sharply. From her memories, she knew how magnificent this sword once was. But now, it was like it had been badly wounded, corrupted by dark energy. By all rights, this sword should be useless now. Even Mu Yao felt it was such a waste. The space system gasped. Oh my god, host? What a great sword! Corrupted into this state, a life-bound sword shares a connection with its master. Qingchen must be furious right now. Host, you need to hide. Seeing the look on Mu Yao's face, Mei Qingchen's phoenix eyes gleamed with a bloodthirsty darkness. Seems like mistress remembers everything. Then let's settle our old scores too. Mei Qingchen looked ready to strike. Mu Yao tried to escape into the space. But the next second, she realized she couldn't get in. The space system spoke in a helpless tone to its host. Mei Qingchen's strength is formidable. He sealed off this place, so the host can't hide. But don't worry, host. Husbands and mistresses are bound by contract. He can't kill the mistress. But Mu Yao shook her head. He's the sharp-beaked bird beast that Mei Qingchen killed before. Didn't they say they have a way to break the contract? And right then, Xiao Jihan stepped in front of Mu Yao. Mei Qingchen, calm down. She's our mistress. Watching Xiao Jihan stand before her, Mu Yao was startled. She almost forgot about Xiao Jihan. Or maybe subconsciously, she didn't think Xiao Jihan would protect her. But he still stepped in front of her. Mu Yao reassured herself. He must be afraid her death would drag him down. Mei Qingchen paused mid-motion. He gave Xiao Jihan a strange look, saying it's just a marriage in name only. I don't acknowledge her as my mistress. Xiao Jihan, are you really going to stop me? Xiao Jihan didn't budge. Weapons materialized around him. He formed an ice blade, aimed at Mei Qingchen. Mei Qingchen, if you want to hurt her, you'll have to kill me first. Mei Qingchen and Xiao Jihan had no real conflict. And on the exile road, they had fought side by side. The dark vortex in Mei Qingchen's eyes deepened. Xiao Jihan, don't forget what she did to all of us before. On the exile road, we protected her with everything we had. But what did she do while we were hurt? Have you forgotten? Keeping her around is just asking for trouble. Mu Yao watched Xiao Jihan and Mei Qingchen face off. She wanted to say something. Mei Qingchen, calm down. As long as you don't attack and don't kill me, I can break our bond. Then you won't be bound to me anymore. Mei Qingchen heard those words, his gaze sharp as a blade. You've said that before. You think I'd believe you again? Mu Yao heard that and saw the murderous intent in his eyes. She froze. A memory suddenly flooded back. Back then, to trick her 5 bound husbands into protecting her on the exile road. Her predecessor had promised to break the bonds once they reached the tribe. She kept them hanging. At first, she played nice, stringing them along, earning their trust. But the moment they let their guard down, she did unforgivable things. Oh wow. She wished she could cover her face and crawl into a hole. Once they actually reached Liu Feng tribe, she went back on her word, swearing she'd never set them free. And she treated her 5 husbands even worse, trying every way to sleep with them. No wonder he said that. Mei Qingchen didn't trust her. Mu Yao saw the cold fury in his phoenix eyes. He genuinely wanted to kill her. And that look, like even glancing at her, burned his eyes. Xiao Jihan stood firmly in front of her the whole time. Mei Qingchen, no matter what, I won't let you hurt Chi-Chu. If you want to fight, then fight. The moment those words left his mouth, the cold energy of his weapons surged around him. Mu Yao quickly spoke up, Mei Qingchen, what I'm saying this time is different. Killing me won't do any of you any good. But before Mu Yao could finish, a sword aura shot toward her with fierce force. Xiao Jihan instantly used his weapon to block the killing blow for her. The blade clashed against the sword with a sharp ring. The sheer force of the impact sent dust flying from the ground. The next moment, Xiao Jihan's weapon energy spread out instantly, and as the sword and blade collided, the cold energy crept along the sword, as if trying to freeze it solid. Mei Qingchen channeled his power into the blade, spun the sword around, and unleashed a relentless flurry of strikes, too fast to even follow. Xiao Jihan's weapon could morph into countless blades, each gleaming with cold light, blocking Mei Qingchen's killing moves from every direction. Mu Yao couldn't see how they were trading blows at all. She only heard the sound of air splitting as sword aura swept past. Even the walls were damaged. Mu Yao's expression shifted. She had to admit, they were truly strong. She never expected Xiao Jihan to protect her like this. The space system was even whistling in admiration. Host, both of them are so strong. Host, in terms of talent, physique, and ability, both of them are incredible. And so beautiful too. So, host, you can take your relationship further. Just sleep with them. Your power will skyrocket. Mu Yao's mouth twitched. Stop talking like that, she said. Do you really think, with things the way they are, I could do anything to them? They'd kill me before I even tried. The space system said. Host, you can win them over. And your inner beauty is stunning too. Mu Yao's forehead vein was about to pop. That's just because you think I look good. You've got your own filter on. System, think of something fast. If there's any way to boost my powers quickly, tell me. I need to stop them. If they keep fighting, this whole place is going to collapse. Mu Yao never expected Xiao Jihan to be so strong. He wasn't letting Mei Qingchen get the upper hand. He was completely suppressing Mei Qingchen's killing moves. Host, I've got it. Mei Qingchen's sword is corrupted by dark energy, but your power can heal that sword. Hearing this, Mu Yao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then she shouted, Mei Qingchen, I can fix that sword. If I can't, you can kill me then. The moment those words left his mouth, Mei Qingchen stopped attacking. He stared at Mu Yao with an intimidating presence. Suddenly, a sinister smile curled at his lips. His voice was cold as he said, You said you can fix this sword? Seeing that Mei Qingchen had actually listened to her, Mu Yao finally let out a sigh of relief. That's right. I can fix it. Just let me try first. If I can't do it, you can kill me then. But Mei Qingchen didn't trust Mu Yao at all. No matter what she said or did, he didn't believe her. But this sword was his life-bound weapon. He'd risked his life to retrieve it from the Valley of Death, and tried countless ways to repair it. He couldn't believe that the Beast Emperor City's most famous good-for-nothing could fix it. Xiao Jihan's eyes narrowed slightly. Mei Qingchen, you can let the mistress try. Ha, Xiao Jihan, it's only been a short while. And you're already defending her? Mu Yao, you sure have your ways. Mei Qingchen looked down at the sword in his hand, radiating dark energy. Broken and battered. In that instant, his phoenix eyes seemed to fill with grief. After a long moment, he finally gritted his teeth and forced out one word, fine. Then let you try. I want to see what tricks you're going to pull. Even if there was only a sliver of a chance, he had to try. Mei Qingchen stopped in front of Mu Yao, keeping a safe distance, and placed the sword in front of her. Go ahead. Mu Yao actually wanted nothing more than to stay far away from Mei Qingchen, even though he truly had a breathtaking, otherworldly beauty. And the impact of his presence was overwhelming. She knew this gorgeous man was dangerous. She needed to keep her distance, especially now that he was standing right in front of her. His sharp, phoenix-like eyes gleamed like a blade drawn from its sheath. Mu Yao's body trembled. Seeing this, Xiao Jihan reached out and blocked Mei Qingchen's overwhelming presence. Only then did Mu Yao feel a bit better. Her lashes fluttered, and she dared to speak in a low voice. If I can fix you, you can't hurt me anymore. And you definitely can't kill me. Of course, I also promise. 3 months later. I'll give you your freedom and let you go. Mei Qingchen watched the subtle expressions on Mu Yao's face, then showed a hint of doubt. But then he said coldly, fine. If you can't fix it, I'll kill you. Xiao Jihan looked down at her and said softly, Mistress, don't be scared, nothing's going to happen. For some reason, hearing Xiao Jihan say that finally gave Mu Yao a sense of safety. She then looked up at Xiao Jihan and suddenly realized she'd been wrong to judge him before, when it really mattered. He was dependable. His gaze was gentle now, and the morning sun shining on him made him look even more composed. Mu Yao said gratefully, Xiao Jihan, thank you, if I make it out of this, I'll cook you something great tonight. Mei Qingchen let out a scoff. The sun really does rise in the west. Now she's trying to save her own skin. She really knows how to put on an act. That's how Mu Yao used to be. She had all kinds of tricks up her sleeve. She'd seem like she was getting better, but really she was plotting something even worse. But then he thought about Mu Yao's father's abilities and those hidden rumors about the Su family. His gaze darkened. Fine, I'll agree. I hope you actually follow through this time. Mei Qingchen wasn't holding out much hope. But if Mu Yao failed, then he'd have a legitimate reason to step in. Mu Yao steadied herself, focusing all her attention on the sword. She reached out and released her wood element power. A green glow spread across the blade. The dark aura seemed to be afraid of something, slowly beginning to fade away. Seeing this, Mei Qingchen's dismissive expression suddenly turned serious. That's impossible. This sword had been severely corrupted by dark energy. Everyone he'd asked had told him this sword was beyond saving. Mei Qingchen straightened up, rubbing his eyes, wondering if he was seeing things. Xiao Jihan watched from the side, a hint of surprise flashing in his cold eyes. Mu Yao was completely focused, pouring all her wood element power into the sword. Gradually, her consciousness seemed to enter the sword spirit's mental sea. It was a place shrouded in black mist. As Mu Yao's wood element power surged in, the dark mist slowly parted. But just then, she caught sight of a tall, slender man's figure. Even though it was just a blurry back view. But even so, that figure was stunningly beautiful. Just as the man was about to turn around, Mu Yao's wood element power suddenly ran out. She coughed up a mouthful of blood. Then her body swayed and she started to collapse. Seeing this, Xiao Jihan immediately reached out and caught her. The mistress looked at Mu Yao's pale face, her forehead covered in fine sweat. Xiao Jihan pulled out a clean silk handkerchief and gently wiped the sweat from her face. I'll take you. Worried about taking Mu Yao to see the witch doctor, Xiao Jihan didn't feel safe leaving her at home, afraid Mei Qingchen might make a move. So he carried her to find the witch doctor instead. Mu Yao said weakly, her voice hoarse, I'm really fine. I just used up all my wood element power. Feeling weak is normal. I just need some rest. Xiao Jihan still wasn't reassured. Let Wu Yi take a look anyway. Mei Qingchen gave Mu Yao a long, hard look. Don't move her around. I'll go get Wu Yi. Then, Mei Qingchen vanished like the wind, sword in hand. When she returned, she brought Wu Yi with her. After examining Mu Yao, Wu Yi said, power exhaustion, stress and agitation, low blood energy. He paused, then continued, and there's poison in your body. This poison makes a person irritable and quick to anger. Hearing there was poison in her body, Xiao Jihan and Mei Qingchen's faces changed. So the mistress's half-scarred face was because of the poison in her system. You're pretty calm about this, little girl. Clearly, you already knew. I can only prescribe some medicine to boost your blood and energy. But the poison can't be cured. Thank you, ancient healer. I already knew about this. Ancient healer, no need for medicine. I'll be fine after some rest. The ancient healer gave Mu Yao a long, deep look, then left. Xiao Jihan and Mei Qingchen stayed silent. After a moment, Xiao Jihan whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't know the mistress was poisoned. They all thought her face was scarred. Turns out it wasn't scarring. It was poison. Mu Yao touched her scarred cheek and said, it's fine. Don't blame yourself. I can cure this poison. A poison that's incurable for others was no problem for her. Not to mention she had her osmanthus ability. She could cure it with herbs alone. After another silence, Xiao Jihan spoke quietly, the royal healers never noticed anything wrong with your body. How is that possible? Mu Yao thought back to her predecessor's memories. She smiled faintly. I guess it's the price of outshining the crown. The royal family feared the Su family's power. If I died, everything the Su family had would go to the crown. Xiao Jihan's eyes widened. She was so sharp. She understood everything. Xiao Jihan paused. That poison makes people irritable and impulsive. So the things the mistress did before. Was that because of the poison? But somehow. At that moment, what Xiao Jihan truly felt inside. He actually didn't want Mu Yao to get hurt. Mu Yao could have blamed everything on the poison. But what her predecessor did to her beast husbands was really messed up. She couldn't just brush it off like that. Even being held by Xiao Jihan, which counted as close contact, her wood element powers had recovered a bit. And a new box had even appeared in her space. But Mu Yao still answered Xiao Jihan's question first. She spoke up, "It's not just I'm sorry. Everything before was my fault. I shouldn't have treated you all that way. You were dragged into exile here because of me. I'll change my bad behavior. For these 3 months, I'll treat you right." Mu Yao said those words with total sincerity. Xiao Jihan looked at her seriously, seeing the clear, honest look in her eyes. He couldn't doubt her anymore. He even thought he could try trusting her just once. Xiao Jihan softened his voice, "Okay. I'll protect you too." Mei Qingshan was staring at the changes in his sword. It had already been half repaired. The dark energy around the sword spirit had faded. His heart was in turmoil. He looked at Mu Yao with a complicated expression. His phoenix eyes were full of curiosity. Hearing her say all this now, his expression shifted sharply. It hadn't been that long since he left, and she could already say something like this. The old her, no matter how she pretended, would never have said such things. She would never have apologized to them. She took everything for granted. If she blamed it all on the poison, no one could really fault her for it. But he didn't. Mei Qingshan's cold, distant gaze held a flicker of something strange. Mu Yao knew that even if he said all this, Mei Qingcheng wouldn't wake up. Then he spoke, "Mei Qingcheng, this sword is only half repaired. Once I recover some of my power, I'll finish fixing it for you." Mei Qingcheng looked at his pale, weak face and said softly, "Even so, this sword has life in it again. I keep my word. I won't lay a hand on you again." Hearing that reassurance, Mu Yao finally let out the breath he'd been holding. A faint smile crossed his face. He said, "No matter what, throwing your sword into the Death Valley back then was wrong of me. I'm formally apologizing now." Mei Qingcheng listened to his apology, watching the relaxed smile on his face, and felt more and more uneasy. Something was off. He was not the type to apologize. Mu Yao didn't care what Mei Qingcheng was thinking, as long as he wouldn't attack him again. He looked at Xiao Jihan and said, "You to go ahead. I'm going to sleep." He was really weak right now. He needed rest to recover. Xiao Jihan said softly, "Okay. Mistress, you sleep. I'll be right here." He would watch over him faithfully. He wouldn't let anything happen to him. Mu Yao nodded. He lay down and closed his eyes. Of course, he first went into the space and looked at the delicate box before him. He wondered, what is this? Host, this is a reward for your first hug with Xiao Jihan. You got it from your first close contact. Open it up and see, host. Mu Yao could tell from the system's cheerful tone that whatever was inside had to be good. But when he opened the box, all he saw was a pitch-black chunk of something. It looked like a piece of iron, but it gave off a faint glow. What is this? The system explained it was mystic spirit iron, a material used for forging magical weapons. It was also one of the rarest treasures in the world. Mei Qingshan's sword was his bonded sword. It had cracked in several places. Sure, you could patch it up with the wood lizard, but that would only bring the sword spirit back to life. To restore it completely, you'd need mystic spirit iron. This mystic spirit iron can not only restore the sword spirit to its original state, but also make the sword even better and stronger than before. So with this mystic spirit iron, Mei Qingshan definitely can't mess with you anymore. Mu Yao listened to the system's explanation and understood. This mystic spirit iron couldn't have come at a better time. Thanks, system. The system spoke in a very serious tone. Host, don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't let anything happen to you. Even though we can't level up your powers right now. As long as you get close with your beast husbands, I can get you more perks. Mu Yao smiled. If the system could take physical form, he would have hugged it. But host, don't hand the mystic spirit iron to Mei Qingshan all at once. If you reveal it all at once, it would cause a stir. Mu Yao nodded. I know, I'll give it to him later. First, let's see if he keeps his word. If he says he won't make a move, he won't. If he dares to come at me, I won't hand over this mystic spirit iron at all. Mu Yao chatted with the space system for a bit. After talking things through, he finally went to sleep. In the mid-afternoon, when Mu Yao woke up, he felt refreshed and clear-headed. His wood ability had recovered halfway, and his body had strength again. But what came next was even harder for Mu Yao. Getting close with his beast husbands was the only way to quickly boost his wood ability. Hugging was just the most basic method. The system told him to just sleep with them. But he didn't dare. The moment he opened the door, he saw Xiao Jihan waiting outside. He stood there quietly, his cool profile striking. Seeing this, Mu Yao felt a slight tug at his heart. Have you been waiting at the door this whole time? Is my mistress feeling better? Mu Yao nodded. Then he glanced around the courtyard, guessing what she was thinking. Xiao Jihan spoke up. Mei Qingchen has already left. Hearing that, Mu Yao let out a long breath. Good, he's gone. The pressure Mei Qingchen gave off was genuinely uncomfortable. Can you come with me to the mill? He felt safer with Xiao Jihan by his side. It gave him a sense of security. Mistress, no need to say that. It's my duty to stay by your side and protect you. Even so, I still want to thank you. I'll make you guys something great tonight. I promise you've never tasted anything like it. Xiao Jihan thought about the food he made, and his heart stirred. A rare warmth showed in his eyes. We look forward to it, mistress. Mu Yao waved a hand. It's no trouble at all. He genuinely loved cooking. Xiao Jihan looked down at Mu Yao beside him. Right now, he had a calm, gentle air about him. No longer the rage-filled person he used to be, but the poison in his body. How was he even managing to suppress that anger and impulsiveness? And who would even give him something like that? That was just cruel. Mu Yao could feel Xiao Jihan staring. What? Nothing, just thinking that suppressing the poison must be exhausting. It really is. But hey, he added with a smile, I told you I'd change. Even if the poison makes me angry and impulsive, I'm not some beast, I can control it. So don't worry about me losing my temper anymore, or hurting you. At that moment, Xiao Jihan saw a bright smile on his face, saw how optimistic and cheerful he was. That radiant, beaming smile, it made Xiao Jihan's gaze waver for a moment. After a pause, he continued, of course. I won't do that to you again. And I won't drug you either. As he said this, Mu Yao lowered her head, her ears turning red. Even though it wasn't her doing, just talking about it was embarrassing. Xiao Jihan saw her blushing ears, like a blooming flower, stunningly beautiful. Then Mu Yao walked over to a millstone, grinding the beast meat until it was fine. She cinched the strap, and Mu Yao stored it in her space. As they headed back, passing the road they'd come from, they saw Hua Lingyi frantically asking around. Sister Lin, excuse me. Have you seen my mistress? The bad fox came back and saw the signs of a fight in the yard, his heart sinking. He was terrified. Seeing this, Mu Yao froze for a moment, then waved and called out, Hua Lingyi, I'm over here. Hearing Mu Yao's voice, Hua Lingyi couldn't hold back anymore. He rushed over and pulled Mu Yao straight into his arms. Mistress, you scared me to death.